Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Aeromedic Chamberlain, and joining me today is the man himself, the Janna superstar. It's Wadid. Now, Wadid, just before we started this interview, you said, I don't really like playing Janna on the LCS stage. What would you change if you could change it about that last game?
I prefer to just win, so I just pick for my team. So I love to play Janna if we can win. So I'm so happy right now.
Well, you look pretty happy as well. G2, you're now 2 and 3 over the course of the last few weeks. Is this a turning point for the team?
Yeah, I think so, because we are improving. We are from all other teams, only except Pucks. So we have all different play styles. So it's really hard to just combination all different play styles. But right now we have goal all together, and we are all so good friends. So we're just improving as a team, not a separate player. We don't look for super plays that much. We just want to prove as a team.
Well, you seem to be doing it. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the difference coming from Roccat into G2 now. What's changed for you as a player?
It's nothing it's not nothing, but it's not that much, because I'm just focused on my own play, and then I just want to be a really important member of the team. So it doesn't matter where am I. Even I'm Rocket, I was trying hard, and I'm G2, I'm trying hard. I'm just look for my try hard, and then this team doesn't matter. I just look for only try hard.
Well, you're still with Ornn as well. Do you think you have a special relationship with him as your AD carry?
Yeah, especially we have really good synergy. We don't argue that much. Well, we don't fight.
I've seen your stream. I've seen your stream.
Yeah, we fight sometimes, but it's for fun, we know each other so well, and we are really, really good friends. We always talk about what is good or not. We feedback each other 24/7, and we don't bother each other, So it's from all from, I don't know, it's soulmate or something. I don't know, bromance, whatever.
Well, congratulations again on the win we did. It's good to see G2 coming back into the form. We're going to hand it back across towards the Analyst desk. Sjokz, over to you.
Thank you very much. Sometimes it's good for couples to fight. Look at you and Trevor.
We never fight. It's only love.
Never, never, never. Well, it's been a long day, but we're still here. Deficio's still here. Did you take enough?
We kicked off Maurice
before. Oh, okay.
He's gone now.
Yeah, he is.
You're reintroducing us, but Maurice, he's left us.
All right, but we're going to continue, because in just a few minutes, Fnatic and Misfits Gaming are facing off for the first time since the summer semi-finals. And since then, Misfits has reconfigured their lineup, and we want to take a look at how their damage distribution has evolved from 2017 to 2018.
In 2017, with the Misfits, a lot of the damage came from Power of Evil in the mid lane, as you guys can see on the screen here. Very high percentage of all the damage dealt by Misfits. And he obviously played a lot of champions like Orianna that could actually take over games and therefore be a big carry threat. That has kind of changed now for the 2018 Misfits lineup, where they've lost Power of Evil, of course. He's no longer there to be the man in the mid lane dealing all the damage. And instead, what we have noticed is that Hans Sama, first of all, has stepped up big time. He had a bit of a rough 2017 in regular seasons, but had a great playoffs and a great Worlds performance, and he's really showing that he's keeping that momentum going. And then Alphari over there, 28% of the team's damage now. The Gangplank was a big one for him, and they're relying more on him now to play some of these carries.
So where's the damage not coming from? I feel like it's the
mid lane
in the room.
Right now. Yeah, it is from mid lane. There are multiple reasons for it. First of all, Sencux did have some games on more utility-focused champions. There was the full tank Galio week 1 that didn't get to do a lot of damage. But he's also had some issues, especially in the laning phase, where he does fall a bit behind, and he's not able to dish out the same damage we saw from Power of Evil specifically. But as long as the team can still deal enough damage, then that's okay.
Well, I was just about to say, it is important to note that Misfits' damage per minute is the second highest in the league. So it's not that they're lacking damage. It's just interesting to see how it has shifted around so far. And we'll also see how the damage is being distributed for Fnatic, because that team has been struggling a little bit. And we're also seeing some players on the team take on a bigger role in the first weeks than before. Caps is showing up. So who isn't showing up?
I have to talk about Rekkles here. I think right now Rekkles is underperforming, and it is a problem for Fnatic.
Tripex mentioned it in the interview.
He also mentioned it. Some of the problems for Rekkles right now are just some really weird and unfocused issues. Like this clip we see here, completely overextended in the side lane with Hylissang. Next clip, same deal. He's overextending after they picked up a Baron buff. If you look at the minimap, only Hylissang is around to potentially help him. And Rekkles in 2017 was the king of split pushing. He knew when to push, when to back away. The first 2 weeks, he had multiple times where he pushes too far at the wrong times. He gets caught out. There's some team fights as well where suddenly he becomes the target. He's in the front line or he gets singled out. And this is a player who was the 2017 Summer Split MVP. Sven left EU LCS. Rekkles is sitting alone at the top of the AD carry rankings. And I expect much more than what I'm seeing from him now. He appears to be disconnected from the rest of the team in-game and is leading to some of these very dumb mistakes. And Fnatic needs him to be a big carry.
Well, rough report there for Rekkles, but I think it's fair. But where we said for Misfits, Sencux isn't particularly dishing out a lot of damage, but they found a different way to do it. That's also the case for Fnatic, because Caps has been doing really well. Actually, he did well throughout 2017 as well, but it seems like it's more important now because they definitely need someone to carry.
Yeah, they've been relying more on Caps to make some big plays. Against G2 Esports, we saw him be the big playmaker in the mid lane. We have a clip of that as well, where he finds Yanin and Wadid. Like, look at this here. This is just Caps all alone, making a play.
Game winning, almost.
Yeah, exactly. You see two guys in the mid lane. He can go for them. He flashes in, knocks them back. They kill these guys. They take the Baron. These kind of plays from Caps is what we want to see more of, and it's what Fnatic have been relying on here the first 2 weeks. It's still a very long season. It's best of one. I am very confident that Rekkles will get back in shape. He will perform at the highest level once we get closer to playoffs. And then if Fnatic still have Caps performing like he's doing now in most of the games, that's a very scary duo combo.
It is, and this matchup of Misfits versus Fnatic is very interesting to see because of all these reasons. So let's get into it. It's going to be an explosive fight as Europe's 2 Worlds quarterfinalists square off on the Rift. Drakos, take it away.
Thank you, Sjokz. We're just about ready for picks and bans, but first let's check out the lineups with Fnatic coming in on the blue side. Of course, you know these names, but we're going to say them anyway. In the top lane, it's going to be sOAZ. Coming in the jungle, it is Broxah. Their mid laner, it's none other, the man, the myth, the legend, Caps, AD carry Rekkles, support Hylissang, and their coach, Dylan Falco.
And while Fnatic have been struggling, their opposition has done quite the opposite. It's going to be Misfits. Their top laner, Alphari. In the jungle is Maxlore, mid laner Sencux, AD carry Hansama, support Mikyx, and coach Hussein Musfi. And you know, last year, or I suppose last split, expectations would be that Fnatic come in as the favorites, Drakos. You know, everyone after their amazing regular season run of 11-2, coming into the semifinals, even after beating Unicorns of Love, many people pegged Fnatic as the favorites going up against Misfits. But when Misfits went to Worlds, and when Misfits kind of became the European heroes after their performance in group stages and their representation up against SKT, they've come back with a vengeance. They changed 2 of their members. They had, sure, a struggling game against G2, but since then they have had clean macro. They have had an excellent laning phase. They have shown multiple avenues to carry with, and this Misfits squad is looking much more, or much stronger than perhaps a lot of people initially expected it to be.
And they're sitting at the top of the standings, or were before today's games. We'll see if they can maintain that spot with a win over Fnatic. Or Fnatic, you know, they can strike back. They have had these struggles. They have had this lack of coordination. Rekkles kind of singled out as one of the causes. A lot of vulnerabilities on the team, a lot of strengths as well. Which one of them, or which of these strengths are going to show up today? That's the question. How is Fnatic going to play this game? Because they've been all over the place. Had good early games. Had some decent late games. Also had games where it falls apart at both of those stages. So it's hard to predict exactly what form of Fnatic is going to show up this week. But it has to be something strong if they want to go toe-to-toe with Misfits. Because you're right, outside of that one game, that loss against G2, they were able to pull off so many solid games. I mean, admittedly, the Vitality game was a bit of a comeback. But now as we enter picks and bans, we'll see which strategies both of these teams want to bring to the table.
So we're jumping into draft. Now, when it comes to a team like Fnatic, they have drafted nothing too new, nothing too innovative. We have seen the Shen support come out from Hylissang, but I feel like given the priorities that have shifted right now for both these teams, that's not going to be the highest in terms of priority for Misfits to take away. Instead, their focus is actually towards the AD carry. They want to get Rekkles off of something that he can split push on and perhaps force him onto something that he's less comfortable on.
It will be interesting, too, to see what Rekkles opts to go for. Jinx has been buffed. Maybe this is, we've seen her once today already. Maybe this is Rekkles' time to shine on a hyper champion.
Rekkles' first professional game ever was in fact on a Jinx, where he had a pretty impressive performance and where he started his climb to the top of Europe. Now a lot more AD carry bans continuing to come out. Kalista taken off the board. Things like Sejuani we've seen drop heavily in terms of ban. It's just been let through because many junglers are fine picking the Jarvan as an answer or picking up some of the more creative junglers in the form of Zac and Jax and Kha'Zix that have all shown how effective they can be.
Now with Tahm Kench banned away, Azir is going to be the first pick. And I like this. They've seen Caps be successful on this in the past. They're already putting onus on him to carry as they move later into the game.
And I think Misfits would be pretty smart to pick up the Zoe here too, given that the Tahm Kench has been banned away. The risk of that safety against the Zoe is now eliminated. The Braum is still up and available. So for Misfits, perhaps a Zoe and a Braum would be pretty good early picks. And they can leave... Oh, I forgot about the Kog'Maw. How could I forget about Kog'Maw? They first picked it last week.
Both of the scaling duo over, of course. Kind of the baton. Kog'Maw carries through the mid game. Azir brings the damage in the late game.
And we saw Hansama. It has been his most played champion so far this split. He's had some fantastic performances on it. Very similar to how Caps has been playing a lot of the Azir. But fortunately, I was able to get one right.
Braum comes in. Good job. 50%. Not terrible. See how it keeps up over the rest of this. And with Tristana off the board, Xayah and Rakan, the immediate lock-in from Fnatic.
Now, what I've heard from a lot of the pros is that Xayah Rakan is great in scrims, but when you try to apply it to stage, it is so much harder to make this all-in duo work. Now, the fascinating thing about this is we've been looking at some of the jungle presence that's been invested into Rekkles and how it shifted from week 1 to week 2. And the fact that they've drafted such an aggressive bottom lane, to me implies that they're going to go back towards their week 1 style where Broxah was spending a lot of time bot. He was investing into Rekkles and Hylissang and trying to snowball them into success.
Which is interesting because despite the fact that they had a lot of success with Caps, they are kind of signaling that they will look to put more attention on the bottom side. But Misfits Gaming's round out with the Zoe will look for that matchup in the mid lane. Have to wonder a little bit how Sencux will perform going toe-to-toe with Caps.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. He did struggle a lot versus Jizuke last week, but he was the one on the Azir against the Zoe, so now we'll have to see how confident Sencux is on this champion. With the Jarvan and the Zac ban, this is highly suggesting the Misfits are looking to get themselves a Sejuani and limiting the pool available for Broxah to answer with. Fnatic, though, they're saying they want to go for an early Gnar. With the Jace ban often considered a strong counterpick, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Camille ban follow-up to guarantee sOAZ a confident 1v1 matchup up top.
Camille taken away as well. Another Gnar counter to be considered here. Misfits have the opportunity to take it for themselves, but would give up the Sejuani in exchange. I want to see what they do. Are they okay giving this away to Broxah? Broxah kind of known for sticking to a relatively meta champion pool. Taking this away could put him on the back foot. Have to see what he would opt to pick up.
I think also Alphari would be fine allowing the opposition to have a Gnar. And we forgot the Nunu!
It better be Nunu bot. That's all I'm saying.
It's the Azir Nunu as well. It's the combo. You were talking about it right at top of show. The changes to Blood Boil. This is going to be hype, man.
I'm ready. I mean, I shouldn't be because it's going to take 20 minutes before this is a relevant combo. But when it's relevant, Vedius, it's going to hit hard.
It's time for some snowballs. They're going to round things out with a little bit of extra engage in the top to follow up with the Rakan ultimate and the W combo. I think Fnatic, they've drafted themselves pretty well-rounded comp.
And this is terrifying. Max rank Blood Bile, 120 additional AP, a bunch of attack speed for the Azir, all stats that he likes to have. We're going to have to see how it works, but despite banning Gnar counters away, there are also Ornn counters, interestingly enough, and it's going to be the GP on the top side for Alphari, still giving him that big damage roll that he has been showing more this year.
So, both comps scale pretty well. The Azir, naturally the better teamfighter in the late game relative to the Zoe, but as we saw from Perkz in the last game, you can still do a lot in terms of pick potential and poke with this champion. Relatively, the Kog'Maw versus the Xayah, so much damage going to come out from this Kog'Maw in the mid to late game. Going to very easily shred through this front line of Fnatic, but Xayah, she is no slouch either. The big difference is that for Misfits. They have a couple more options in terms of their composition with the Gangplank. They can afford to play the 1-3-1. They have the global ultimate to act as a disengage and wave clear tool as well. Whereas Fnatic, they're looking more for the 5v5. They're looking for the siege. The Nunu Azir, so effective at taking down towers and threatening that Baron. Now, we've seen Fnatic fail to play around Baron in the past. Let's see if they've been able to fix those issues coming into week 3.
See what they can do. And Vedius, once again, Zoe versus Azir in the mid lane. This is exciting for me because we've yet to see a game where Zoe hasn't just started picking the Azir composition apart. Are Fnatic the team that can finally change that trend? Are they the team that can utilize this, shut down the Zoe, use their insane strength in team fights to punish Misfits for giving them this composition? Well, we're gonna find out. Shout out to the French fans in the audience.
And we've got a Nunu. We've got a new jungler on the board, Drakos.
Oh man, I am so excited and so sad at the same time because this is going to ruin all of my solo queue games, but it might just be worth it, Vedius.
Could be, could be. Let's jump onto the Rift final game of the day. Daniel Drakos is joined with me, Mr. Vedius. I don't know why I took leadership over there. I don't know.
I mean, that's fine. It's just...
Tell us what's going on screen, Drakos.
Fnatic moving to the bush. Bot side, mid lane bush as it's known. Moving into the banana brush. No bananas there though, as Hansama is now learning. Probably shouldn't have gone. Just a Rakan. Harry Birdman, not quite what he expected, but will back off. So burning the early flash actually very, very, very good for Fnatic in this lane, Vedius.
Oh,
We've
yes.
seen how crazy aggressive Hylissang is willing to play.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You are so right, my friend. The fact that this Kog'Maw does not have flash makes it so much easier for the Xayah Rakan level 2 power spike all in to get a lot of damage down and start zoning away this bottom lane. Start to put a lot of pressure in. You can already see with the early jungle start, Broxah may be looking to path towards bot side. He's going to start on the blue, and we'll keep a track as to how he makes his way down to the bottom of the map.
Good news for Fnatic. Level 2, way before 6 minutes. No stopwatch going to be able for Hansama. Bad news. Minion dematerializer means that he can get the level 2 first in this laning phase if he's given the chance. But it looks like instead, with the leash going down, that they may still be able to secure level 2 first. Keep your eyes on that. It's an all-important power spike. Fnatic have lane control for now.
Now, we touched on the Nunu. We got to talk a little bit more about him. I'm only going to focus in on one change. The big one to his Blood Boil. In the past, when people have seen Nunu, you'd pair him up with something like a Tristana because you put the Blood Boil on, they get a big attack speed buff, they get a bit of extra damage, and oh, they're fantastic sieging tools. Their team fighting becomes super strong. Really, really powerful, right? But now, with the recent changes in 8.2, you get all this extra ability power added onto it as well. So champions like Kog'Maw and Azir specifically gain so much benefit the later the game goes on. And we can keep a track as the level goes up. We can see
level
already the level 2 power spike coming in from Fnatic's bottom lane.
Yeah, quick punish, trying to take some of that health away. Still though, Mikyx has the luxury of the Targans, or rather the Relic Shield, so can offer a little bit more sustain to his lane partner. Hylissang goes for the aggressive Spell Thief's Edge, so won't quite offer as much, but Broxah, right now he's content. He's clear in the jungle. Vedius, if I'm honest, I just never know what to expect from a Nunu in competitive play, because my one reference is Clear Love in the LPL, and he just walks into lanes and ease people and walks away. That's not going to be the strategy for Hylissang, though. Much more content to W people and walk away.
I mean, the thing about Nunu is he's really good at counter jungling. He was one of the only junglers that I ever saw in solo queue that would run the poacher's knife, the one that you get rewarded for stealing enemy camps. His wave clear is surprisingly fast because of the amount of damage that his consume does, but ideally what you want is pushing lanes that you can then invade in the enemy jungle and just steal stuff away. He's not the strongest ganker, especially on the current Nunu, given that you usually max your E, your slow last. So he's likely going to be focusing on just coming into lane, helping his teammates out, and then likely setting up for those invades, setting up for things like the dragon, and then trying to go for as many invades as possible to deny Maxlore any of his own jungle.
And interestingly, though, I feel like There's something on that what Deficio said at the start of the day. He said Rekkles stands alone at the top of Europe. Sven is gone. And Rekkles still looked great in week 1. You talked about it. That's when he got a lot more jungle attention. Looked a little bit less great in week 2 in terms of CSD at least, although he did share kind of the lion's share of the damage burden.
But you've got to contrast that to his opposition, where Rekkles, yes, he's kind of had mixed performances, and to the degree, the dependent men have not had great performances, whereas Hylissang has been super consistent. Some have even praised him as being the best AD carry in Europe right now. This guy has just been outputting so much damage. His positioning in team fights seems to be extraordinary. And after what was a rough regular season for him, he went to Worlds. He had a great performance, and he's come back really fighting for that top spot.
And that's the beauty of this game, Vedius. We don't have to wonder who the top AD carry is anymore. We can see it for ourselves. Hansama versus Rekkles. A matchup we have to keep our eye on. I like the Rekkles is sticking to the aggressive style, something that he's known for. Hansama gonna play back, gonna be more of a team fighter as we move on. And now, that's a TP. Courtesy of the Unsealed Spellbook, we'll just walk right back to lane, not gonna lose any CS, despite all the early pressure being put down by Fnatic.
Now, when we saw Hansama play the Xayah in week 1 against G2, he actually decided to run, I believe it was press the attack. And when they had the Xayah Rakan, they had a lot of damage during that laning phase, but struggled to get any kills. Even though Hansama had burnt his flash, and even though we've seen Rekkles and Hylissang go for these all-ins, again, they're yet to get any kills. And look at the farm, already starting to go in the favor of Hansama. It's very important that Fnatic are able to get these 2v2 advantages, because we talked about the scaling, and we talked about how for Misfits, this bottom lane 2v2 will certainly be able to outscale that Fnatic duo in the later game.
And of course, you just have to be ready for that Gangplank at any point. Kleptomancy, of course, did get a pretty decent hit, but still probably the ideal mastery for Gangplank to run. You can see he's at least pilfered 1 health potion. And additionally, the mana pot. Now it looks like they may give him
A what? Sorry,
what's
a mana pot?
So this blue thing,
Yeah.
back in the day, you could buy something that would give you mana back.
What?
Like,
That sounds broken.
I mean, it was removed, so I guess.
It
right?
makes sense, right? Makes sense. But yeah.
And then they made this item called Lost Chapter that you can see on Sencux, and it's like having a mana pot all the time. So
Right.
some might ask, why didn't we keep them in the game? One knows.
Well, irrelevant at this point in time. What does matter is the fact that Gangplank does have one. It's going to allow him to be a little bit more aggressive in his laning phase, throw out a couple more parlays, increase that gold generation. And for a Gangplank, having this kind of a healthy farm lead is definitely where he wants to be, because typically the laning phase is not that good. But with the removal of the Unstoppable and the fact that sOAZ is playing Ornn, who typically in lane can trade pretty well, but he's not really been able to punish Alphari, so he's been having healthy farm, and he's well on his way to getting a very early training force.
And to be fair, the Ornns, or the nerfs to Ornn aren't really a factor here. The Unstoppable on Bella's Breath is not something that really mattered too much in the GP matchup.
True,
not
it's
really
very
a lot
true.
Of hard CC, and the ult cooldown, he just got it. So right now it's just Alphari taking advantage of an advantage matchup for him. And now with the level 6 on the horizon, oh, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, lots of damage. Maxlore leaps forward, not going to commit to the ultimate there, but...
Wait a minute. That's a teleport on Maxlore.
What?
He's also running the Unsealed Spellbook. He's dropped his Smite and has picked himself up the teleport. Didn't quite catch where he used it, but that is 4 teleports on this Misfits roster.
Huh. I want to say something, but I don't have anything for this. Vedius, I'm a little sad.
I mean,
it's really cool because at any moment they could 5v5 on any part of the map and we wouldn't see it coming, but it's also...
Okay, so let's think about the value of Smite, right? At this point in the game, when you're running the Tracker's Knife, it's all about vision. You don't get any bonus effects from your Smite, and the Smite simply helps with your jungle clear. But with Sejuani, remember, with her E, she already has that kind of extra bit of burst. So yeah, sure, her clear speed will be reduced, but at this point in the game, that's not that big of a deal. So instead, Maxlore's saying, you know what? I want to have the TP value. I want to be able to get involved if my team start a skirmish or a fight faster than my opposition. And so I can see the logic. The thing that's terrifying me now is that all my junglers and solo queue are going to start running not TP, but Ignite and Exhaust and...
Every champion is Shaco now.
Yeah, yes. Well, we'll see. We'll keep track of
time.
We'll keep track of how Maxlore utilizes it throughout the rest of the game.
I think one concern you could raise is that he's against a Nunu, but Nunu already has the consume anyway, and while it doesn't always out-damage Smite, it, you know...
You imagine he'll swap back later, because not having Smite against when Baron and Dragon's up, very risky.
Yes. But for now, TP, he's ready to make a play, and this is huge, because Fnatic, as we already mentioned, with the Xayah Rakan on the bottom side, they want that early aggression. Level 6 is there for them, at least for Rekkles, will be for Hylissang shortly, but if they want to go in, 3 members of Misfits are going to TP to the bottom lane. 4 technically could if Hansama wasn't already there, so you better be pretty damn sure you're going to get a kill before you try to start any kind of action on the side of Fnatic.
Oh man, that's crazy. Love this innovation that we are seeing. I have seen a lot of pros say that while Unsealed Spellbook is really strong and it does need to be tuned a little bit, the fact that so many different pros have found so many different ways of using it is fantastic to see. Now, speaking of finding things, Maxlore has found Broxah,
which is good. Because if he had waited any longer, Nunu would have been able to smite the Baron. Maxlore could not teleport.
That's very true.
Would be an interesting strategy, not a viable one. And Maxlore goes to contest the camp. This is the awkward moment when you don't have smite, but we'll still manage to get a Raptor away. Back off is a nice sidestep from Broxah. Stops the Sleepy Trouble Bubble from connecting.
Now they're setting up for a group down to the bottom side. Hansama has the push. Gangplank has the ultimate and TP. And while I would typically expect Misfits to make a play towards the Drake, given the fact that they don't have Smite, I don't know if they're going to do it.
Oh, Hylissang is somewhere you are on beat! Fine. First blood drops for Misfits.
And Misfits just utilize the fact of the expectation. As we were just talking about, you would expect Misfits to be doing the Drake, but they don't want to because they don't have Smite. So instead they just sit in the brush that they know has been cleared out. They're expecting someone to walk up to ward over the wall, and Misfits going next level mind games right now.
Waiting and baiting. Now it's going to be much more difficult for them to get aggressive on the bottom side. That is a kill over to Maxlore. Exactly where he wants to be, as he was getting a little bit out-jungled in terms of raw CS.
Wait a minute. The irony of this is Sencux literally picked himself up a Smite on his Spell Thief, and he used it on Caps. What is going on, Drakos?
Well, Sencux is just going to flash out. That's apparently what's happening right now. Nunu was on the way. Would have gotten slowed, would have been nigh impossible for him to escape. He could have portal jumped out, but would have had to come right back. And Vedius, let's check in. Local cross. Top lane still very even. Alphari not hitting that point where he grossly outscales the Ornn quite yet. Bot lane even as well. Mid lane's pretty close, and I think that's something that we have to hit on because last week, Sencux got destroyed.
Yeah, but this is still very different to what we saw in the Perkz versus Nisqy matchup. Because remember, Nisqy, once level 7 hit, was permanently underneath his tower. He could not move, he was at a severe deficit, and Perkz was just constantly aggressing onto Nisqy, forcing him back underneath his tower. This is very different from Caps versus Sencux, where Caps is just constantly the one pushing. He's the one trading effectively against Sencux. He's the one with the CS advantage. And you can just see the difference in playstyles, where Sencux isn't the kind of player that likes to play forward. He's not the one pushing up in his lane, looking to zone out, looking to harass. He just wants to farm, he wants to play patiently, and he wants to make sure that he's even coming into the mid game.
And you have to respect that, but at the same time, you also have to respect that Caps could just be the one playing more aggressive, more comfortable in this matchup. We know Nisqy did make more of an impact this week, was playing a little bit better in terms of the early to mid game, but Caps probably a lot less scared of Zoe. A lot more comfortable in that landing phase, a lot more experience on stage.
And this gives us a little bit more time to talk about Nunu.
Yeah, so I checked on Broxah. He is maxing the consume first.
Typically what you'd expect.
Now, for those of you unfamiliar, of course, it's given buffs in the past where it gives out-of-combat movement speed and additional health, and now also gives additional on-hit damage. And the more levels you have, I believe, the more ranks you put in it, the longer the duration lasts. It starts to stack up more. Yep. It means that Nunu does not do a whole lot in terms of ganks, right? He is a snowball. He's got the ult, but you still can't really realistically walk into the jungle and 1v1 him either.
Yes.
Because he does have a lot of damage when he has been active in clearing.
And one of the things that you and I were discussing before today's games, Drakos, was the power of Cripple that Nunu has, which is effectively, for those that don't know, it reduces the attack speed of the target that it hits.
Yeah, it's a formal name for an attack speed slope in the same way that Tenacity is a name for CC reduction.
Exactly that, and it's interesting because like there are very few champions in the game. Malphite is another example that can do a similar thing with his E, but against champions like Kog'Maw, it can be very effective. You land the E from the Nunu, it hits, it cripples by 25%, and in the mid to late game, that is a pretty significant DPS loss if he's able to get onto those key targets. And that's where he adds a lot more value that can sometimes be underappreciated, especially when you think about the blood boil that he can give to his teammates too, who are then getting their attack speed amplified. And that's where he can make a lot of differences in these AD carry damage outputs later on into the game.
And of course, there's an update on the pause. Mikyx is restarting the client. He had a visual issue with the support item. So looking to get that fixed shortly. But I'm excited to see what Nunu does, right? I want to see how good Broxah is at utilizing.
I want to know what he builds as well, because over in a couple of solo queue games over in North America, we've seen junglers build things like Xayah very early on. And you're just like, oh, it's just another way in which to amplify your AD carry. You can also easily proc it because of your ultimate. You're always going to use it in a team fight. You're just going to be on the front lines. And we might just see instead him go full support. Maybe he goes for an early locket. Maybe he builds AP. You have a lot of options with Nunu.
That you do, Vedius. That you do. And now I just want to see how this game will unfold. See players starting to talk. Verifying that everything is working just fine as they continue through a few seconds of play. Make sure that everything's okay right before we get back into game.
So they just did a quick unpause to see if the visual bug had been rectified. It looks like that for Mikyx. He's just paused it once again, so likely that it hasn't been resolved just yet. They're working through the issues as fast as they can, and we will jump back into our final game very, very soon. We've had a lot of good games today. Recap, in case I don't want to give away any spoilers, Giants versus Roccat was a very exciting game. Battle for the top of the table. Unicorns of Love versus H2K, battle at the bottom of the table as well, was rather riveting. To the surprise of some, perhaps. We had a bit of a slow game with G2 versus Splice. And then you had the classic Vitality versus Schalke as well.
Match of the week, I think, lived up to the hype.
Oh, it definitely did. Vitality definitely looking like a very enjoyable team to watch. Wouldn't be surprised as they get more fans throughout the split. Now we're in our final game of the day, Misfits versus Fnatic. Fnatic looking to get a bit of revenge after being defeated 3-1 in the semi-final of Spring last year, putting Fnatic into the third place match against H2K and allowing Misfits to go to the finals.
All right, so just an update for one more restart. Try to resolve the visual error, but in the event that it does not resolve it, teams will play through. So regardless of what happens, we should be moments away from getting back in the game.
So while we get through the pause, Drakos, I've been thinking about this a lot, right?
Okay.
And you know how in League we call minions farming when we murder them and take their gold?
Okay, where's...
I'm just saying,
let's not draw any correlations to real life, shall we?
No, of course not, of course. I'm just saying perhaps a more appropriate term would be harvesting. You know?
What? Robbing?
Okay,
robbing them?
Yes, that could also be
Can you imagine?
term.
Okay, bear with me, because this is the life of a minion, right?
Yes.
And people have written Reddit threads on this and stuff, but like, imagine this is the proposition you get. A guy sits in front of you and says, look, you know what's a lot of value? Gold. All you got to do, put on this costume, go out. Lots of other people do it. Millions of people have signed up for this program. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
It's true.
And you go out and you die and they take your money. And that's the trick.
But the ultimate question is it the same minions respawning or is it different minions? Because when you think about it, champions respawn in Summoner's Rift. They come back to life. So is it that you actually only have about, I don't know, let's say 19 minions, so for the 3 different waves, plus a cannon, and they're actually just respawning over and over again?
Well, if you guys are interested in the math, you can tag @RiotVedius on Twitter and continue the discussion further. As I'm going to draw the line at minion-based theoretical math.
That's fair enough.
Our totally legitimate theory, just for the record. Now back to focusing on the game as we are ever closer. Just as an update, if you are joining us, if you went, quick break while we get through the pause, we're looking at the Dream Azir comp. I know, you're wondering what makes it so dreamy, and it's the fact that there is a tiny man riding a Yeti in the jungle. And while that Yeti does very, very little, one thing he does very well is make Azir's blood boil.
Yes. We're still waiting for Nunu to really get into a position where he can set up the champions for that kind of sieging. Xayah, very much like we've seen in the past, very much about the scaling, waiting for the 2 items. Xayah and Rakan, we're yet to really see them have a big impact. I'd love to see some kind of a TP play from the side of Fnatic's dual lane, maybe try and force something up top. We haven't really seen any dive onto Alphari either, which is something that we've seen a lot throughout the world as a means to shut down the Gangplank early on. But again, you're kind of running with a Nunu and Ornn, so it's very difficult to make these kind of plays happen. So given that we're yet to see Fnatic's bottom lane win out on the 2 versus 2, and now they're actually at a gold deficit, you start to get a little bit concerned if you're a Fnatic fan, because you really did want this Xayah Rakan to be winning in the lane. You wanted them to have that advantage. You wanted them to get this early pressure to enable Nunu to invade, to move over to the mid lane, to set them up for success and start sieging onto these towers.
But now, it is time to get back in the game and talk more about Minion. Fnatic versus Misfits Gaming now continues. Just as much Nunu as ever, folks. I know, I'm excited about it too.
As a reminder, Maxlore is still holding on to the teleport, so they're not super keen to go for the Drake just yet, given that Broxah does have the Consume plus Smite combo. And at max rank, that Consume does over 1,000 true damage. So it is pretty nuts.
Oh, Sencux. Cap's actually going to push him back in the middle. Out comes the Ornn ultimate. Broxah's locked him down! Oh no! Sejuani tries to save the day. That's a sleepy Nunu. Sencux going to flash out, but the portal jump just brings it right back. A kill for Fnatic. They burn so many resources, but it might just be worth it. It's the blood-boiled Azir. Gangplank, though. The ultimate anti-fun champion for Fnatic fans.
And just as we wanted to see a proactive play from Fnatic, they use the TP from Hylissang, sOAZ roams down to the middle lane, and they successfully kill Sencux. He didn't use his flash, he recognized the dire situation that he was in, he ends up losing his life, and finally Fnatic get a score on the board.
Good look for the team. A nice play by Caps in the end. I'm sure we'll get a chance to look at it shortly, but in the meantime, Misfits are recovering just fine. Gold's still slightly in their favor, but it is going to hurt for Sencux, who was already a little bit behind in this matchup. Will be a little bit easier for him to keep going forward. Good on Fnatic to give the kill to Caps, but despite not having a smite and playing against a Nunu, they have opted to start the Dragon. Broxah is on the way, does have the flash if he wants to contest this, but it doesn't look like he's going to go in the end.
Yeah, but Maxlore actually went around behind the Drake, cleared the Blast Cone, thank you very much. And that made it difficult for Broxah to feel confident going in for the steal. Instead, they just decide to give it up. They're fine with that. And they're just going to continue to sit back and farm as Handsummer now picking up the Rage Blade. Definitely in a good position. And eyes are going to fall on him and Alphari once again to be the big carries. At the start of this game, both Sjokz and Deficio ran us through how the damage distribution currently works for this team. And Alphari and Handsummer are stepping up with regards to the damage. And with these kind of champions, you're expecting them to do the same again.
And I'm excited because Kog'Maw always feels like the crazy strong mid-game champion, is still super relevant late game. But, you know, Xayah's good early game, but she's also really, really strong because she's going to build those crit items. It's going to take a little bit longer, I feel like, but I feel like Rekkles, if he does get put in a position to carry in these fights, it won't matter that he's up against a Kog'Maw and should be able to do just fine.
I mean, it's one of those things that you have to remember. The thing about Rage Blade versus crit items is Rage Blade has more consistent DPS, especially once you've gotten the stacks built up, whereas crit is extremely effective at providing high burst damage in shorter quantities, right? So crit is very effective against squishies, less effective against tanks. But when you look at this lineup, you're seeing a Gangplank, a Zoe, a Kog'Maw, a lot of squishy targets, which if Rekkles is able to get onto, will be able to shred through. But for Handsummer, the Rage Blade, once it gets stacked up, hitting champions like an Ornn and then hitting things like a Nunu, once he's got the fully stacked Rage Blade, he's going to be doing a huge amount of consistent DPS even onto these squishy targets. But it's important that he gets those stacks first. So you just see a slight differentiation between the two damage dealers, where Kog'Maw's waiting a little bit longer, where his damage will escalate the longer the fight goes on, versus Rekkles, who's just going to have that instant burst, instant immediate crit damage right from the get-go.
And once again, Gangplank, the great neutralizer, will shut down the wave push in the mid lane. Fnatic, clear goal in their mind, however. Every time they go mid, they are getting the ultimate out. So as long as they can punish all the ultimates down, it should be a good strategy. Now Mikyx, in a bit of a tough spot, is going to try to retreat, but will get locked up by the CC. They're just chaining it together, but they're not going to commit. No one else there to back them up, I guess. Decide to opt out.
Paranoid of the Maxlore TP. But Mikyx, he didn't have to use his flash either. Handsummer now here, doesn't have the heal.
Ultimate comes out. Nice ulti in response from Rekkles. Handsummer still going to get locked up for a brief moment. Nunu, unfortunately, No real way to engage the fight. Just going to offer the Blood Boil buff to Rekkles, make him a little bit more of a threat here. But Hansama pretty fearless, still playing on the front line. Maxlore is on the way as well. Hylissang now trying to start the fight off.
He was pinged out, though. You can see there's a ward just next to the Grom and blue buff to the side of Fnatic that allowed Fnatic to spot him out and predict the gank. Now we see the ultimate used onto Sencux.
Oh, the Forge God, Sencux. Uses the stopwatch. Not going to find any more opportunities. TP mid
It's
from
Maxlore.
Maxlore.
That's great.
I love that you're always excited about the TPs from
Because I think it's so cool to see a jungler running TP, and he's able to use it to keep his mid laner alive. Definitely very innovative. Broxah, though, he's continuing to farm. Now hit level 11. That top tower likely to go down soon in favor of Misfits. And now we see Sejuani mid.
Maxlore going right for it. Caps has to try to sidestep the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. The chain CC goes in, but Cap's still going to make it out. Paddlestar just going to be used to clear the wave in the end.
And Misfits want to gain more river control. They clear out the pink ward. They've already set up a lot of vision around the bot side. Right now, there is a ward for Fnatic in that Tri-Brush. And I want to say that Redemption was actually used by Sejuani.
It was.
To harass the bottom lane
Probably
a little
about to
bit.
go on cooldown,
Yep.
so he thought he'd throw it somewhere. Trying to poke out Caps. Maxlore just returns. Not gonna get the CC. Sleepy Trouble, but not gonna connect.
Ooh, nice side step.
Caps with the footwork, man. Great use of shifting sands.
Still doesn't even have to cleanse either.
Oh,
That's
this is bad for
a lot of
Sencux.
damage.
Ultimate's coming out. Has to flash out to safety, but it's gonna be tough to hold the tower. In goes Caps. No hesitation. Now moving back for Maxlore. Good ult goes in. Broxah gonna tank for the team. Nice use of the stopwatch from Maxlore, but still a tough spot for Misfits.
And this is why Caps is the player to watch. This guy has been the biggest playmaker of the team. He's not afraid, and neither is
Hylissang going in
Hylissang.
too. That's a lot of damage going in onto Maxlore. He has no mana, but he is going to make it out. Nice protection comes in from Mikyx, but Fnatic have wanted this tower for 3 plays in a row. There is no more GP ult. The Demolish is going to proc. And they're going to get a little bit more here. Hansama now and Rekkles. Ones we have to keep our eyes on as another tower is going to drop in exchange. So not quite as big of an advantage as Fnatic would have liked.
And Misfits had their eyes set on getting the first tower, but it is Fnatic after their plays in mid. Maxlore tried 2 repeat ganks onto Caps, and he was able to dodge out of both of them. Caps having another fantastic Azir game, and you have to wonder at what point do you just stop giving this man this champion?
2-0. First pick for Fnatic, paying off.
And now we get to see Maxlore again with the return gank. So, Caps, he sidesteps the ultimate by going into the lane first and then dragging himself back towards the tower. Broxah then finally shows up. Maxlore no longer has the mana to continue this fight, and Sencux just should have flashed sooner. Broxah cancels his ulti early enough so to make sure that the slow is applied to Sencux, but also the damage is thrown out as well. Then we see the tower dive. Unfortunately for Fnatic, they aren't able to gain any further kills, and their eyes are just set on taking that tower down.
But Vedius, the movement from Caps there is insane. Shifting sands to get out, uses the conquering sands to change his destination. Turns 1 dash into 2 dodges, effectively. Outplayed.
The man's good.
Very good. Gotta appreciate those final
2-0-0 right now. Eyes are definitely not on Rekkles, who, while in laning phase, didn't get what he wanted rather. They can still rely on Caps now. Towers being answered across the board once again.
And to be fair, this is what we were wondering. Was Rekkles going to step up and be the primary carry of the team, or was he going to step back and let
Are they
Caps
rushing Baron right now? They don't have Smite.
What are they going to do here? Nunu is on the way. They are going to retreat. They are moving into enemy territory, though. It's going to be the quick retreat back up.
Okay, so Hylissang did use his TP, and Misfits, at the very least, were able to bait that summoner spell out. But Maxlore, I think you should change back to Smite now. I think that would make a lot of sense. You're getting to the point where things like Dragon and Baron... Yeah, there we go.
Nice. Good prediction, Vedius. Will now be able to contest some of these objectives, although it will be...
Oh, they're starting it. They're rushing this down fast. Remember, the Azir Nunu combo. This is going to be a quick Baron.
5 seconds. Consume is available, Smite is available. Where is Maxlore? Can he find it? Paddlestar could be a good option as well, but Hylissang is there to body block. Tough spot to be. Fnatic secure the Baron. Fantastic confident call.
And it's the thing that Misfits failed to properly respect, because by forcing the Baron, they had to go back to base to allow Maxlore to get his Smite up. That was going to take a little bit of time for him to get back, and then the Nunu Azir combo is so fast at taking down that objective. Fnatic finally find themselves in a gold advantage, and this is where we see the true power of this comp. The sieging, the ability to dive with the Ornn and the Rakan. Things are looking terrifying for Misfits right now. It's going to be interesting to see how they're able to hold off this siege from Fnatic.
Well, Fnatic's going to focus that attention. For now, they're content to leave Ornn in the side lane. Broxah, Hylissang, Rekkles forming a 3-man core to start to move into the enemy jungle while Caps pushes up the mid lane. Casual Ice Blast, just to tickle Maxlore, let him know that this is Fnatic territory. Sencux, who has to be very careful not to get caught out here. Gonna portal jump back and forth. Broxah now could be in trouble. Maxlore trying to find the engage, trying to find the opportunity. Hylissang leaps in, but there's a TP coming in from Fnatic. sOAZ on the way. Gangplank can only do a little bit of damage. He's now leaping in. Caps is on the backside to dish it out, but sOAZ is going to grab the kill. Maxlore looking for the retreat. Oh, good ultimate coming in, but Sencux is now on the run. Rekkles, can he find the kill? He uses the heal. He makes it around the corner. Hylissang is there as well. Rekkles, perfect position to tear through Hansama. Just going to cut him down right when Fnatic needs him. Absolute control.
And it was Misfits who tried to force the fight, but didn't have the TP available from Alphari. His ultimate may have been on cooldown as well, given that he has it up right now. Fnatic were not afraid to commit to the exchange. They only lose 1 member, they get 3 in return, and they've got their eyes set on the first inhibitor of the game.
Alphari is here to defend. Hylissang is going to have to leap out. Maxlore hungry for kills, hungry for a little bit of retribution here after the fight turned against them. But Fnatic well on the way to winning this game as they break multiple tier 2s in the exchange.
And Misfits, they're trying to be proactive. They're doing their best to force these fights. They thought that they had caught the jungler out of position, but Sencux, he just doesn't quite have the damage needed to really chunk Broxah out. He lands a good paddle start here, but just look at the situation they're in. Hansama can't hit onto anyone. They get knocked up by a great E from sOAZ. This allows Caps to just freely sit on the backline and not really fear for his life at all. And sure, sOAZ ends up dying, but the benefits gained from this were so much more for the side of Fnatic.
Hansama has to flash the Shurima Shuffle in the end. Emperor's Divide would have tossed him back, and Fnatic team made quick work, so it's easy for Rekkles to just walk in and pick up that kill. Looks like we might see the collapse coming in from Misfits. Caps is going to get the quick escape out, though. Unfortunate use of the ult there from Mikyx won't connect. And Rekkles and Hylissang are on the top side. They're starting to get picked apart. Fnatic in comfortable position to play across multiple lanes.
You know, in Misfits, things looked pretty good for them in the early parts of the map. Alphari was having a great laning phase. Hansama was getting advantages in the 2 versus 2. But now look at Rekkles. He's level 14 to the level 12 of Hansama. He's now gained all this extra experience due to the 2 kills that he was able to pick up in the bot side. And Sencux has struggled once again. He was put in the opposite matchup to this, where he lost to Jizuke, and now he has lost to Caps. And you just have to question the performance of this individual, because from Misfits' side, expectations are pretty high, but right now he is not living up to the hype that his team generated for.
Well, Maxlore and the rest of the team trying to find the engage. Rekkles waiting over the wall. Hansama, as you mentioned earlier, the cripple, slowing down that attack, making it pretty hard for him to turn and try to force a fight. Rekkles might just be looking for the 1v1 there. Is it not going to? Instead, opting to push out the creep wave as Fnatic continue the pressure on the top side. Are in good position to take down this tier 2.
And look at how quickly they take it down as well.
Not bad.
395 AP when Caps gets the Blood Boil. 283 without it. 120 additional ability power gained simply due to the Blood Boil from Broxah.
45% attack speed as well. Quite strong.
In teamfights, that's going to be nuts, man.
He should be able to cut through multiple members pretty easily if he gets the opportunity, but Misfits still determined to deny that opportunity. 25 minutes into the game, 4K gold lead for Fnatic, a little bit north of that. Misfits have a dragon for themselves. Baron's still a bit of a ways out.
Yeah, we need to look at how Misfits can still win this game, because the gold deficit is pretty large, but their composition is still relatively strong. Look at this Gangplank, sitting on a healthy amount of gold right now. Hansama still has a healthy amount of items in his kit too, and the team fighting of this composition isn't dreadful. Kog'Maw, Gangplank, they have a lot of AoE and they have a lot of ability to just shred through this front line, as Broxah now may be in trouble.
So determined to start this fight. GP ult used. They're just looking for a pick to try to get this rolling. Baron's still 2 minutes away, so this may not amount to much, but the stopwatch has been used. Broxah running for his life will get cut down in the end. A good pick coming in for Misfits in the end.
Maintaining control around this Baron area. Misfits finding an opportunity as Alphari forced to use his flash down in the bottom lane, but Fnatic were smart to push out both mid and bot and keep Caps around the top side. So even the loss of their jungler, Misfits struggle to really gain any objectives around the map. Note that that mid tier 1 is still up and very healthy to the side of Fnatic.
Sencux waiting.
Oh no!
Sees an opportunity. He wants to try to duel this out. Sencux is going to back off. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not connect. TP now coming in. Caps may have put himself in no man's land. Has he overstayed his welcome? GP is on the way. Maxlore is here as well. Caps versus the world. Can he get it out? The Shifting Sands tries to make it to safety. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, the quick flash to escape. sOAZ known for the escapes, but it's a chance for Caps now to make a name for himself in this regard. But everyone on Misfits is here. Shurima Shuffle, not going to be enough. The Emperor's Divide will not break him to safety.
Now Baron spawns in 50 seconds. Caps doesn't have TP, and because of the man advantage, Misfits may be able to rush that objective down. Fnatic, they're spreading apart. They thought that they could play along the side lane, but there was nowhere else that they could look to punish, and instead it was Misfits that were able to punish Fnatic. They find another good pick. That's 2 now. They've gotten in a row. And while the gold gap is still big, it's starting to close. Hylissang picks up another kill. Sencux gets one for himself too. And these items that are being completed, you look at this Misfits squad and you remember these guys are known for playing well around the Baron objective. They have great late game decision making. And you can't afford to count this team out yet.
Absolutely not. GP just continues to get scarier and scarier. Sencux may not match up to the Azir in terms of raw DPS across the team fight, but as Alphari builds towards what we can assume is either a GA or an Infinity Edge, either way, those barrels are going to hurt. One mistake, one misstep from Caps could take him out of the fight immediately, no matter how much attack speed, move speed, and ability power Broxah can bestow upon him. Death Cap does come in for Caps, though. Seemingly fitting, name-wise. Leandries and the Nasher, so he's in a bit of a good spot himself.
Yeah, let's see how Misfits play around this Baron. They've got a lot of wards set up. They are just going to start this one off. It's not the fastest Baron, but it is going relatively quickly with the Gangplank and the Kog'Maw. TP coming in from the Ornn as well. I think this is all Misfits want. Now they're going to disengage.
Backing off. Fnatic, will they try to force a fight here? They are in Misfits territory, technically. Getting a bit of poke down. Winter's Bite not going to connect. Sleepy Trouble will not going to go far enough either.
But look at top and bot. Fnatic have pushing waves. Misfits, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now as Fnatic might just literally run it down mid.
They might just give up an
Gangplank ulti.
Well played coming out from Fnatic. They do just enough to deny the Baron. They use the TP. Unfortunate in the Fnatic part of the exchange, but Inhibitor does look to drop in their favor, and it will. Misfits.
The thing is, they hard committed towards the Baron, and because they were grouped up, they actually had no one near the middle lane to regain priority. That means that they're going to very quickly lose an Inhibitor, and Caps.
Mikyx pulled back, looking for the pick, tries to hit it, gets multiple members locked up. Alphari taking down Misfits to their chance to turn. Ultimate comes out, not going to connect on the sOAZ, but there's a slow coming in on the backside. Sencux now looking for a little bit more. That's a sleepy Hylissang, and he may just get taken down. Blast Cone brings them back to safety, but now it's Misfits who can look to take the Baron, who can look to bring it back in their favor.
And it was Caps that tried to make the play that is so quickly punished by Misfits. Great flash from Mikyx to then suddenly turn it into an ulti, turn it into a kill, and Misfits get themselves a Baron.
Back and forth, Vedius, for every good play one team makes. Firing back on the opposite side. Massive waves, though.
Oh, they're going to lose a tower as well.
Oh! Not quite enough. That is unfortunate if you're on the side of Misfits, but they have 3 minutes of this Baron still. This is a chance for them to make a play, but Vedius, look at the blue buff. What is this? Tell me what this is called.
It is the Fnatic Death Brush. Historic, well-known. Hylissang trying to incorporate himself into the Fnatic organization by being a part of their most iconic move, but no one's going to fall for the trap. Rekkles. Ooh, careful now, mate. He's fine. He's gonna...
They see it. Wait, they're staying.
Oh, no.
Alphari, no. What's this? Just a normal trip to the jungle? Surprise! Fnatic Death Push, and down he's gonna go.
So Fnatic find themselves the pick. Alphari is the target. 5 versus 4 now for Fnatic, and even with the Baron on Misfits, they should feel confident enough to go for this second inhibitor. Misfits, after finding such a great way back into the game, to lose their top lane and one of their crucial damage dealers, this is certainly going to hurt them in their ability to stall.
And a big part of their wave clear. 5 men strong on the side of Fnatic. Sencux hitting the tank, not quite what he wants. Rekkles and Caps feeling pretty comfortable to approach here, but still have to be careful, have to give some respect over to Sama and Sencux. Good block comes in from Mickey, but that means he can't use it against Rekkles in any kind of coming fight. Maxlore looks for the disengage, the inhibitor's still going to drop. Fnatic on the retreat. Misfits just barely holding onto the base, but every time they give up a small edge to Fnatic, they just lose more time on that Baron buff.
And Fnatic uses a classic in order to turn around what should have been a devastating Baron into an overall Fnatic gain. Misfits doing what they can. They're trying to find these picks. They're trying to find opportunities to hold their own in this matchup against Fnatic. The goal difference has closed a lot, and securing it has done Misfits a lot of favors. And if they get this tower, they will finally gain a little bit more map control that can allow them to get some deeper vision into Fnatic's jungle.
I think one thing we do have to praise Misfits for is their vision. You can see how proactive they've been in placing. It was part of the reason that they were able to catch Caps on the top side. Now they're looking to grab an Infernal Drake because of it. Well, the scaling of the GP, a little less on the Kog'Maw. He builds mostly on hit items. Still good for them to have. Unfortunately, that's the only real boon outside of the mid lane tower that Baron buff has afforded them.
And now Fnatic can start to group up towards the top side. They have the Nunu Azir siege comp as well. A cheeky steal of the red buff. And Misfits, they have to defend all 3 lanes. Super minions coming in both bot and mid. I don't know if Misfits will have enough wave clear, but note the difference we see between Perkz and Sencux. Perkz, when he was playing that Zoe, always in these dark parts of the map, constantly looking for picks, constantly looking to threaten the opposition every time they come near the tower. But Sencux, he's playing so reserved. He's playing on the back end. He doesn't offer that same kind of pressure, and it means Fnatic can play with much more confidence when they get near those towers.
Alphari, though, will push out the bottom wave, start a push in his favor, has the TP available to come back to the base, has the ultimate as well. Max rank will make for some easy wave clear. Sencux, though, going to have to use at least one of these paddle stars to clear out the wave. Fnatic trying to find the engage, leaping in. Caps caught in the middle of the Gangplank ultimate. They may have to back off. Rekkles trying to find the disengage. They are pulling away from the tower. Hansama remains untouched for now, but Caps could push in at a moment's notice. Here comes the Ornn ultimate. Goes wide. Huh.
And look at Gangplank, he's now going back to base after pushing out bot. They've bought enough time. Misfits hold the line for now. And it was Fnatic's inability to find a successful fight. Shurima Shuffle still up and ready for Caps, but he did lose his flash, along with Rekkles and Hylissang. And I believe that whole fight started off with Maxlore actually trying to get the initiation off. I don't think they wanted to fight. They wanted to try and clear Fnatic away from their tower. They wanted to just force them back, see if they could hold on to that final inhibitor tower. And instead, it evolved into this massive team fight where no one ended up dying.
And I think the summoners that you brought up earlier, I think that's the most important part, right? Because now we see Rekkles and Caps, the two carry threats on the side of Fnatic, without their flashes. They don't have Summoner Spellbook. There's no reduced cooldowns here. There's no hot swap to have flash again. You don't have that option. So Misfits, it's going to be much, much easier for them to pick off these targets, and a fight one misposition from Caps or Rekkles could result in a quick death and an easy win in terms of team fighting for Misfits.
Certainly could. And that's why you're keeping your eyes on Misfits. The playmaker has to be Maxlore. Sencux, we want to see him moving up a little bit more forward, looking for those picks. He has landed a sleep onto Broxah.
Now the engage. sOAZ is going to get blocked up. Hansama could be in trouble. Hylissang, no flash to get out.
But he did have the cleanse thanks to the unsealed spellbook. So he does get away. But again, a lot of ultimates. Oh, I say a lot of ultimates. sOAZ ulti used. And remember the increased cooldown now. That was one of the nerfs that Ornn did receive. 100 seconds at max rank. And he has built a decent amount of cooldown reduction. But still, here we go, Maxlore once again.
Kid Frisky trying to find it, looking for an opportunity. That's a drowsy Hylissang. Maybe this is the engage that they want. They are going to lock him up. Ooh. So much damage. Gangplank goes golden. A brief moment, but this could be the fight. Rekkles finds them in the funnel, but it's not enough. Hylissang has now been picked off, but Azir is on the top side of the map. Caps, one man on a mission to end this game, but he's going to have to do it quickly. Wants to take down the tower, is going to be able to do so, has enough items at his disposal, but can they take him down now? Can he outplay Sencux? Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not connect. Maxlore is on the way. Now going to look for a little bit more. Trying to back off, but will get stunned up. Sencux not taking the risk. There's no reason to. Just back off. Let him play it slow. Mikyx on the way too. Caps has overstayed. Is it going to be worth it? Can he get anything else? Can he turn this one around? He is actually doing so much damage, but Hansama is there to take him out.
For a 1v4, that was about as good as you could have played it. Caps, no flash, almost able to get a kill onto Sencux, being forced to rely on Hansama and Mikyx to help clean up the fight. Just goes to show how talented this mid laner is. Fantastic performance from Caps. He is able to get a turret, but let's look back at how this pick happens. Remember, the lack of flashes is the crucial thing here. Maxwell has his ulti up, Sencux lands the sleep onto Hylissang, and this gives Misfits the go button. They feel confident enough to go for the play. Broxah with the Iron Locket of the Iron Solari is enough to keep Hylissang alive. And we're able to find the pick. No Baron for them to secure yet, though. We'll give them a bit of vision control, and now we get to appreciate the talent of Caps. Just look at these side steps, very cleanly dodging out from the skill shots. He goes to the all-in, doesn't use the ulti.
But it's not important. Look at this bot lane inhibitor. Misfits are
Wait,
so
are they gonna win the
preoccupied
game?
with the Baron. I feel like we've seen this too many times. Vedius, they could just end the game.
They got a base, they got a
so
base.
much.
Okay,
Baron has gone down. They do get it. They will back off, but an inhibitor
less
doesn't matter.
dramatic than I thought it was gonna be.
I'm ready, man. Base racing all the time. That's the EU way.
But look at this, Alphari, full build now. Almost there for Hansama. That is an Infinity Edge Essence Reaver on top of the Gangplank. He is now Crit Plank, Dank Plank, I'm here to kill you Plank. This guy is extremely strong, and he's going to be one of the players we need to keep an eye on in these later game fights, along with Caps and Rekkles. People have said that this man has been underperforming, but 3-0-0 right now, level 18, yet to die, yet to really be out of position. And when he groups up with his team, we're going to see how much damage he can really output and influence a potential teamfight win for Fnatic.
Interesting to see the strategies that Fnatic have been going for. And as good as, you know, Caps played that last fight, as good as Fnatic responded to Misfits trying to take the Baron, it was still a bit of an overextend. But now with 3 inhib towers down, 1 inhibitor down as well.
Elder Dragon spawning in 15 seconds too.
Fnatic feel like they're in a really good spot to take this. Misfits though with the Baron, I mean, they just want to push down objectives, but I think it might take a fight if they want to come back.
Yeah, I think Misfits are pretty happy to fight too. I love seeing this from Sencux, throwing out the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. Here comes
Engage, gets it on the Braum, but not a whole lot else. Gangplank ulting on the backside, could be in trouble. All eyes on Alphari, he just managed to join the fight. Sencux looking for the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Caps knocking him back into the middle of everything. Where's the barrel going to be? Bam! Big shot coming out as Maxlore grabs that one up against Azir. Both teams backing off, but it's a 2-for-1 in favor of Misfits.
And it's once again Caps trying to go for the hero play right at the end of the fight, but instead he loses his life. Now one of the big damage dealers is unavailable, while Misfits still have all 3 alive. They have the Baron buff, they have their eyes set on the Elder Drake, and will Fnatic try to contest?
2 stacks. Buffed up for the Infernal in the mountain, that's pretty big. See when Baron buff falls off, see if they get enough time to push an inhibitor in as well.
Gonna pull it out. This is smart. They don't want to run the risk of the Nunu smite steal. You know how much damage he can do. Misfits have done a great job coming back into this game. They have been praised so often for their late game shot calling, their patience. And they're demonstrating it here once again. Now, love the engage here from Hylissang. Straight onto Hansama, but a quick cleanse to get him to safety. Does mean Mikyx dies almost instantly, but Hansama's able to return the favor and get a kill. And then Caps, he tries to go for the big play. He tries to knock in Alphari, of all people. And then with a quick flash from Alphari, you end up just flying into a Sjokz den as the entire Misfits roster collapse and they shut down the mid laner for Fnatic.
Yeah, and of course, no hourglass. Not really a way to get out of the stall during that play. Does have the Banshees, but it's just not enough in that exchange. And Alphari is scary. He's critting the minions for 1,500 damage. Of course, Champion's gonna have a bit more armor than that, but definitely not where you want to be. Hansama gonna take down this tower quite easily. Misfits just gonna push in, continue the siege. Alphari's gone to the bottom side of the map. They're okay to split this up. They have TP, they have the Gangplank ult. Caps alone on a side lane. And Vedius, this is so interesting. It feels like Caps and Rekkles have kind of traded places to a certain degree. Both eager to make plays, but now it's Caps on the sideline and Rekkles with the team, and it's an interesting game for Fnatic.
I'm just really impressed with how Misfits have done it once again. You look at how the game state was going, you sit there and you think to yourself, damn, Misfits, they had everything going for them, and then it all falls apart. And a lot of it was kind of falling apart around the middle lane. Caps was really significantly outperforming Sencux. But then Misfits as a team comes together. They work as a unit, and they prove the power of friendship and teamwork is able to overcome all. But also really intelligent macro play and just really effective punishment of the mistakes of Fnatic.
But mostly credit to friendship.
But mostly credit to friendship.
All right, well, Hansama, he's going to have his friends right next to him. Hylissang not going to be able to find the follow-up engage. Maxlore, a bit too tanky to be taken down that quickly, although Caps will do his best. Redemption to heal the squad right back up, but Mikyx maybe wants to keep the fight going. Ooh, he's gonna hit 2, nice.
But no fight. A lot of, well, I'd say a lot of flash was used for Mikyx, a lot of ults were used, Maxlore's used, Mikyx gone, Hylissang gone, and sOAZ unavailable. Double Infinity Edge on Alphari. He's gone to the bank.
You had like 7 names for him before when he had 1 in Infinity Edge. Is there a new name for Gangplank when he has 2?
It's called the Mega Crit Plank. I don't know, I'm really bad at namings. Anyway, look at Zoe up in the top lane. She has to clear the minion wave out. There's also the bottom lane pushing in favor of Fnatic. While Misfits have looked dominant and they've built a 6k gold lead at this point in the game, it doesn't mean much. And Fnatic still feel confident to siege onto the base of Misfits. Track these ulti cooldowns, see when they're available, because right now Hylissang, he's primed and ready. Mikyx not quite ready to go for the disengage.
Yeah. Holding on to the siege for now, but have to keep your eyes. See how much damage Alphari can actually do here. Back off. God, it's just such a steady siege coming in from Fnatic. This is exactly what they want from their composition, but those sleepy trouble bubbles, you are going to have to give them some respect.
Send the Gangplank downstairs, make a bit of extra dollar. That's a huge wave that they need to clear out. And Misfits are just doing their best. Here we are, Alphari going to very quickly clear that out with the barrels. Fnatic see this as an opportunity.
Oh, ulti not going to connect. We'll find the slow, but now Maxlore is a bit off more than he can chew. Hylissang's going to find the follow-up again. Sencux tries to flow his way into the backline. Eyes on Hansama and Alphari. Caps and Rekkles. The AD carries are the one that matter at this point in the game. Can the hyper carries bring it home? Misfits hold on for now. Ooh, no one's going to drop quite yet. Everyone's so low.
They hold the line once again. Fnatic, they've tried so hard to engage onto this comp, but very good play every single time from Mikyx. His disengages have been instrumental in stopping Fnatic from diving onto Hansama and Sencux. And it's just, oh, this is such a great game. We've seen so many good fights. 2 very strong teams that we have here in Europe, demonstrating like true late game team fighting, really smart decision making, and the Baron spawns again in 30 seconds. Misfits so far have been the team to come out on top in most of them, aside from that first one that Fnatic were able to secure. Again, Nunu is very strong at securing the Baron, along with Azir and Xayah. Another engage from Ornn.
Fnatic throwing it out one more time, trying to fish. I mean, even with the 100-second cooldown, it still feels so low. Of course, we'll get a bit of extra cooldown reduction from the inspiration tree. But you can see, the wave clear is more than enough on the side of Misfits. They may not have an Azir, but they do have a Gangplank.
Alphari, if a single one of those barrels hits onto a carry, that will force them out of the fight. Immediate opportunity for Misfits. They're just posturing up in mid. Bot is pushing in favor of Misfits, top pushing in favor of Fnatic. These side lanes are extremely important, but one big fight will result in a game win. That's why you feel the tension as Maxlore.
Caps on the flank will keep the Banshee's Veil, though. That's pretty big. Thought he might have gotten punished for that one, but his mana is steadily depleting. He doesn't have any mana items available. That is something to be concerned about as the fight goes forward, but Fnatic content to push forward. Maybe not as content as the Gangplank barrel does connect.
Misfits, they don't want to concede pressure in mid. Hansama in an awkward position, though. Big chunk onto Caps.
Exactly what Misfits want. Poke him down. Make it easy for GP to find the one shot if they start a fight. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does connect on the Hylissang. Easy for him to sleep right out of there. Grand entrance is just going to be a grand exit.
Hansama, I don't think he has any lifesteal in his build, so this damage that is sitting on him right now is permanent. Same goes for Caps. And while Misfits continue to push out mid, it is Fnatic that actually have control around the Baron with that single control ward. But look at bot and look at top. Both waves now actually pushing in favor of Misfits. sOAZ on the flank, he has the ultimate available. Here we go.
Trying to find it. Quick block comes in, but Hylissang is going to be able to find the follow-up. Immediate Gangplank ultimate onto the backside. Eyes on Caps and Rekkles. They've been kept alive for now, but sOAZ is in dire straits. Now backing off. No one's able to find a kill. Sencux goes in, Sencux goes out. No one drops.
But if Misfits back now, they run the risk of having that Baron rush down. Fnatic, they're actually the ones that come out on top just because of the amount of damage they got onto Misfits. And here they go, they're rushing it. That's fast.
They want it. Nunu should be able to take this one. Maxlore, can he move in? Is this his hero moment? He wants to take it down, but no. Broxah is going to grab it in the end. Misfits need to find a fight here. They cannot afford to give Fnatic Baron with 3 open inhibitors. What is going to happen here? Alphari's on the chase. Broxah will get cut down. Misfits need to make a play happen before Fnatic get the chance to back. Sleepy Trouble Bubble goes onto the blue buff. Not what they need. Fnatic get to retreat. They'll get to reset the map. and move on to those open inhibitors.
It's just so difficult for Maxlore to steal that Baron away against a Nunu. The Smite Consume combo is so much damage, and unless he was able to coordinate with Sencux, there was no realistic way that he was going to steal that one away. He's had some great steals this split, but Baron goes to Fnatic, and even in a gold deficit, they're the ones that should now have control over the map.
We're steadily approaching that point where gold just
Meaningless.
doesn't matter nearly as much. With both carries on 6 items, it's all but irrelevant.
So let's see, when does Broxah actually do the consume? 1600. Nothing Maxlore could do. The best he could hope for was a pick onto Broxah. They were able to find it, but unfortunately it was after the Baron goes down. And both these teams just really struggling to find a successful big team fight. The front lines are just refusing to die, and it's making it difficult for both sides. Now they're waiting for the next Elder. You can see Misfits setting up a lot of vision. They're gaining control over Fnatic's jungle, which is making Fnatic paranoid to walk through their base. But side lanes are now a thing of the past. Bot and top now pushing back in favor of Fnatic. Misfits too afraid to go and deal with them.
Oh, good timing. Unbreakable's already been used. This is the guaranteed engage. Gangplank ultimate comes in, though. It will lock it up. It will stop anyone from going any further. Broxah has so little tanky stats up against this lineup, but Maxlore does get ripped out in the end. It's the 1-for-1 so far. Shut down onto him. Traded for the life of Broxah. Jungler for jungler at this point in the game. Sencux still firing Fury on the Fnatic lineup.
Whew. Another fight, another trade, 1-for-1. Maxlore for Broxah, jungler for jungler. Two of the big front lines unavailable. sOAZ will have his ultimate available soon. Alphari less so. And remember, Fnatic, they're the ones that have the Baron. So their eyes are set on these inhibitors. Bot wave is stacking, top stacking in their favor too. Misfits need to answer these soon. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of minions to deal with. I don't know if they'll have the wave clear to deal with it.
As long as Baron buff is still ticking, Fnatic have a decent chance, but it looks like they're going to back off instead, use the empowered recalls, essentially one last time instead, set up around the Elder. You can see, though, Misfits diligent with that vision as we take one more look.
So sOAZ, again, just throwing out the ultimate. This time, Braum wasn't there to block it. And it's just a situation where Maxlore and Broxah are on the front line, so those are the two targets that end up getting hit. And they both died exactly the same time, showing you the late game damage of both these compositions. The Gangplank hits so hard. And while you'd think, oh, the Azir definitely going to shred through, Misfits have all the capabilities to with the Kog'Maw. And if the Zoe's able to land those skill shots. So things very tense, still very even. We're approaching the 50-minute mark, Drakos. This has the potential to be another insanely long game. This time, though, not about wave clear. It feels like no team has a clear-cut advantage over the other one. It's all about finding that fight and who's able to come out on top.
Misfits, can they take this fight around the Elder Dragon? Could this be a final fight, or will it be just another exchange of cooldowns? Without anyone going down, will we see the full-on fight to the end? Well, for now, Misfits are going to try to pull the same move that Fnatic pulled against them. They'll get the mid lane priority, but they're going to stop with the push. Unfortunately, this means that they will lose the Dragon. Mikyx is there to block the Braum ultimate. But Fnatic, honestly, very happy with this exchange. Of course, only going to be 90 bonus true damage, but still something they'd be happy to have in their team fights.
But will they even find these team fights? Because we've seen so many things, or so many of these fights, rather, end in just a climactic, or anticlimactic 1-for-1. Now, one thing we do have to take note of is you'll notice a Banner of Command minion there. That was because Rekkles bought Banner of Command, used it top lane on the Siege minion, then went back, sold it, and bought his boots again. And we're reaching that point in the game where everyone has excessive gold, especially the Gangplank. And you're going to see things like the Zarot portal come out. You're going to see these Banner of Command strategies come out just to help delay, buy a little bit more time, wait for their opposition to make that crucial mistake that will determine the outcome.
And it's just so hard, Vedius. No one wants to be the team that steps forward, because you don't want to walk face first into a Gangplank when he's got the barrels ready to go, and you definitely don't want to walk face first into the Azir. But luckily Zoe doesn't have quite the same concerns. Is able to poke down quite easily. Very hard to burst her down in the short time frame that she is out of that portal jump.
Fantasy players will be very happy, though. A lot of points being generated in this game.
Wait. I'm playing you with me.
Oh, yes. All right,
Right now,
here's another engage.
I'm going to back off. sOAZ poking it out. They just want to get the inhibitor. They're not worried about the fight.
Maxlore has no ulti now, though. Elder Drake should be wearing off relatively soon. But they get the inhibitor. That's what they wanted. There's, I believe, about 30 seconds left on that Elder Drake. And Fnatic, if they can get themselves another inhibitor, that'll set them up nicely for the Baron that's spawning soon.
Without it, it's very difficult. Gangplank really the only person who can 100% clear these waves. The scariest threat in terms of burst damage outside of the Zoe.
God, these fights, literally one mistake can result in the loss for your team. It's been so back and forth, so evenly matched. It was Misfits that had good laning phase. Caps then had a couple of good plays, and Fnatic were able to rush down a very quick Baron and suddenly gain control of the map. But then Misfits with a few good fights during the mid-game, finding a couple of good picks, were able to reclaim control of the Baron, stall out the game, and now we're here. We're at this late game point where Maxlore has engaged onto Broxah.
Could be trouble though. Caps does so much damage back in return. Another inhibitor is going to go down. In the meantime, they're going to pay the price. Trying to force an engage there. Mikyx on the front line, not going to be able to connect the skill shot. Blood Boil just making Caps too quick, too easy for him to sidestep at this point in the game.
And Fnatic are just dividing Misfits. They're spreading them thin across their base. They want to take all these inhibitors with Baron spawning in 30 seconds, and Misfits cannot find the fight. They found Broxah, though.
Looking for something. Is going to try to take down Broxah. Gangplank ult is there. Hansama slowly chipping through him. It looks like he will fall. Mikyx trying to block the ball from sOAZ.
Look at the base, look at the base.
Meanwhile, getting aggressive. Caps just playing with their food. Happy to grab the pick, but pressure's still on Misfits just to survive here.
Well played there by Sencux and Alphari to hold off Rekkles from trying to end the game. That will be a pick, and it is the jungler. Baron in 7 seconds. Misfits, if they can just get out of their base, they can secure another Baron, which I will believe is our 4th Baron of the game. But Fnatic, they're just going to rush it down. They think the jungler's not close enough.
All too easy. Can they keep it going, though? Maxlore is on the way. I don't know if they actually have enough damage to finish this.
Remember, it's a Zoe. She can steal it if she can see it coming.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Sencux ready to go in at a moment's notice. They are going to have to back off. Caps and sOAZ have put themselves in a very rough place here. If Misfits can
They're
move
waiting
in
for the
position to
jungler.
punish.
But look at the bottom lane as well. Rekkles trying to be the solo carry again with Hylissang.
Yeah,
they just need a minion wave, but Alphari's there to help defend.
Exactly, he can clear all the waves. Nunu's still not up yet. Maxlore has the smite to steal this one away. Misfits are going to grab the Baron. It's going to make Alphari's defense even easier. With Baron-empowered recall, Vedius, it's so back and forth. Those small mistakes. Miscalculation on the timer for Caps and sOAZ to clear that Baron means Misfits very much back in the game.
But it's also such calm play from Misfits too. They're being spread so thin across the map, and they're allocating their resources so effectively. Sencux there alone. He went there with Braum to just buy time to allow Maxlore to arrive. Then he gets there. Then once Alphari has cleared out the waves with help of Hansama, Hansama makes his way, and Alphari says, you know what? I have the power to hold off this 1v2. You guys finish the Baron. And it's just this coordination coming out from Alphari. You can see the growth they've made from the beginning of 2017 to now, the beginning of 2018.
And Vedius, here's a quick stat for you.
Go, hit me.
At 54 minutes, this is the 2nd longest game of the split. The first being Unicorns Left versus Splice, the 68 minutes. So we may be record setters.
We may be. And funnily enough, I also cast that Splice game.
Well, it's like the year I cast all those base races.
So now Misfits. The thing is, you get to the point in the game where, like, I'd love to tell you all what the obvious way to win the game is, but it's kind of hard because you're just so full on to late game. Side waves become less relevant. They're not irrelevant, but less relevant because a single team fight win wins you the game. And neither team really wants to be out of position so that a single player gets caught off guard. Like, right here, this is a gamble. This is scary. But Hansama knows he has his team near him. He can see who's on the map. They know that Caps is topside,
He's gone
so he
for
can afford to do
mallet.
it.
He's got the Merc Treads.
He's swapped to a Blade of the Ruin King as well, so you can see he's gotten rid of the Wit's End. He's now getting a little bit more late game damage. I think it would be smart to get rid of the Frozen Mallet and go for something like an Infinity Edge now, but he wants that extra bit of utility.
He's tired of people getting away.
Here they go, here they go!
Oh, sOAZ could be in trouble. Caps is still untouched. Gangplank all going to stop any further aggression. But a lot of ults used for not a whole lot of result. They do get the flash from sOAZ.
They've got to disengage now, though, and it's Fnatic's turn to play the aggressor.
And Warmogs just means he's going to heal right back up. Body blocks are there for Caps. Kog'maw will throw down a bit of cheeky poke, but not going to connect with anything else. Nope, Sleepy Nunu.
So now we're back. Misfits defending onto their base, trying to keep their inhibitors alive. Or as they respawn soon. Mikyx approaching full build. That's how late into the game we are.
And I mean, just imagine the perpetual state of terror that both these teams are in, knowing that any mistake could end the game against you. and also being in that state of terror for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
It's a very stressful position for both teams to be in.
You'd have to imagine that with the veteran talent that is on both these rosters, they've experienced this before. They know how to deal with the pressure. That's why we've seen a lot of great calls from both teams as we've gone into the real late game. And again, Fnatic spreading out thin. Caps and Broxah the 2-man unit, while the 3-man of Rekkles, Hylissang, and sOAZ push towards the other inhibitors. But Hylissang is having none of it as they hear the sound of their 3rd inhibitor respawning soon. Baron about to wear off.
This could be big. Opportunity for Misfits to more reliably leave their base. Just getting pushed in this time around as Fnatic control most of the waves for now, and Caps making the most of the shifting sands to take him to safety. And Hylissang, a pretty big nuisance at this point. He is solo pushing inhibitors, and they can't really afford to give up a member to go deal with him.
Oh, here we go, Rekkles. They're going to get this inhib.
It's going to be the first one. We'll make sure they have at least one wave to play around. Misfits have to stay strong, though. They can't lose their focus. And Caps just sidestepping all of these paddle stars. One connects, he goes down. Can't find the ability to land it, though. Rekkles going to use the ultimate as he pulls backwards. But in the meantime, Caps just takes the top side. Misfits cannot afford to not land this engage, or they'll just keep losing inhibitors. One last inhibitor stands in the face of Fnatic. 3 down would be devastating for Misfits.
Caps has taken a lot of poke, and Sencux is running low on mana, but it looks like Fnatic going to reset, buy more pots, maybe use another banner of command. I say a lot of options. They're very limited, because even though they've taken down those inhibitors multiple times, I don't know exactly how many, they're yet to actually take a Nexus turret away from Misfits. But Misfits, it's so difficult for them to pull the trigger because Fnatic is saying we refuse to group up. We're going to spread apart. We're going to play all 3 lanes. And if you engage on one end, you're going to lose something else on the other.
Tough spot to be in. But as we move further, I have a kind of a trivia fun fact for Fnatic fans or Rekkles
go on.
fans. So, if Rekkles continues this game and finishes this game without any deaths, it'll be his 88th career game without dying. And that's pretty impressive.
That is rather impressive.
But keep in mind, that means that in 30% of the games he's played, he's never died.
That's pretty nuts.
I think I've never died in 2% of the games I've played. Maybe less than 1%.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. Definitely good at avoiding death.
Sometimes.
He's working very closely with Hylissang, who is kind of the propagator of death, to try and secure the win for Fnatic.
And no one wants to kill either. They really want to kill sOAZ this time around, so he will get stunned up, locked down. It may just get burned through. Does have the flash back up. GP ult has been used. Caps is on the retreat. They have to stay focused on Caps. If they forget about him for even a second, they may just get cut through. Sencux is on the way. They are going to take down sOAZ. Someone finally picked off in this game. Oh, Sencux wants it. Oh, the cleanse out. Nice play. The instant cleanse
He's
flash.
going, though. He's going. Sencux wants revenge for what was a tough game.
In the meantime, they're getting the Elder Dragon. This is huge.
And they have secured it. They walk away with the objective. They can't get anything else off the back of this. And Misfits forced to wave clear their own base once again. That is a long death timer for sOAZ. So it will mean a free Baron, I imagine, going over to Misfits. But, Drakos! No one. Look at how much time it took for them to kill sOAZ. Now, you could argue, yes, he's a little bit out of position. He shouldn't be pushing because bot has no wave. Rekkles and Hylissang can't really do anything. He takes too much damage before he also flashes away. He thinks he's out, but then Maxlore hard commits. He burns his flash. He wants to make sure that he can get the kill. And then here comes the crit plane. Even against a tank, 682 damage. And I'm not sure if Sencux... No, he didn't actually use his flash. He used sOAZ's flash. And now, here we go. There should be a free Baron.
Caps' flash, rather, as we now turn our sights to this. It is the free Baron as anticipated, but Fnatic are going to try to take this as an opportunity to run down the mid lane and break an inhibitor. But they know they don't have enough time, so instead... Oh, God, I've seen this one before, Vedius. Was it... Where have we...
What are you trying...
2 in a game? Okay, look. There, you know... What is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on... How's it go?
Shame on me.
Yeah.
I am often shamed.
There will be a lot of shame for Misfits if they walk to that brush.
Yeah, I feel like this lane into the game, every brush is a death brush. except for all the ones with wards in them, obviously.
They're feeling it, though. I mean,
but, like, Fnatic are committing. They're saying, we are not leaving this brush.
There's no reason for them to leave, right? They can, hey, look at the creep wave.
Listen, Broxah.
Oh, Alphari. Oh, no. You've been here once before, dude.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Jebaited.
Haha, no. Smart. Actually, I was wondering when this was finally going to happen. This is the classic places easy walk back and buy an Infinity.
It's fine. I got enough money in the bank to buy another Infinity Edge. I don't know why I suddenly became American then. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but you've been randomly southern twanging this entire game.
Sorry. It's what happens when you get to late game, you know?
Get a little southern in the late game. I understand.
Hylissang Rekkles that turn into Broxah and they're like, listen, we will not complain. We will turn this brush right around. Alphari, does he know? Does he know?
Dude, he's done this once before.
Oh, run. Alphari, run.
Alphari locked up. Oh, is he just going to cut through him? That's the pick. Oh, Rekkles. Oh, my God. Oh, Rekkles is going to live. They almost fight back.
Holy
That's
moly.
shame on Alphari. That's the second time, folks. We're keeping track.
Okay, this is huge. 68 seconds on one of the biggest damage dealers on Misfits. Sencux was not able to kill Rekkles. Can Misfits hold the line? Because remember, all the wave clear, or a lot of the wave clear, comes from Alphari.
Whoa, 53 seconds, counting down, buying time. sOAZ is going to go push in on the top side. Wave is crashing in. The inhibitors are up again, though, so it looks like it might just be Fnatic taking all 3 inhibs. Misfits misstep here, though the game is over. Hylissang getting frisky, but just buys time for the rest of his team to push in and break an inhibitor. Now it looks like it'll be all 3 inhibitors for Fnatic. They're not going to push for much more.
They're grouping up top, though. They're literally splitting their way towards the Nexus Tower as Caps.
Oh, Caps!
Oh, my word. He's just tanking that one up.
That is an insane amount of damage, but now the engage has come out. Hylissang moving into the middle of the team, charming up multiple members. sOAZ is there on the backside, but you have to keep your eyes on Sencux, because he almost deletes Caps. Hansama still alive. Hansama still untouched. sOAZ on the front line. He's left all to his lonesome. He's set to fall, and it looks like he will go down in the end. Not unstoppable anymore. Alphari up in 5 seconds. That's a sleepy Nunu. Sencux is on the hunt for blood. He wants a little bit more. Half health. Oh, Broxah has to flash to safety, but I don't think it's enough, friend. Sleepy Trouble Bubble
This is it. This is it.
Maxlore TP's on the backside. Rekkles running for his life. One man on a mission, but it's not enough. Misfits, hold on. Misfits, ace Fnatic. Can they end the game here?
They have all 5 members alive. 20 seconds on the ban. Flashes are being used. Surely this is the game win for Misfits.
Moving into the base. Vedius, I cannot believe it. 63 minutes into the game, 64, so close to breaking the game time duration. Fnatic could see the win in their sights. They were tearing through the towers, but it might be too much. Broxah, hand on his chin. He knows it's over. He knows it's GG. Not a lot left to say. Misfits in a nail biter, in a back and forth, in a brutal onslaught are able to find the win and take down Fnatic.
The look of relief on Misfits' face. With Alphari dead, you're thinking, this is it. The game is likely going to be over. Fnatic finally found that pick. But they came together, they clumped up right at the last moment, right in front of their base. They were able to hold the line. And my word, Hansama stepped up so big in that late game fight. I would highly recommend people go back, watch the fight, and watch Hansama, because his positioning was fantastic.
Honestly, whole team shaped up in the end there. Sencux with some very clutch paddle stars. 8-1-9 the score for Hansama, as you mentioned. Maxlore at a quite impressive 4-1-10. That one time that he traded 1-for-1 with Broxah, actually his only death of the game. And unfortunately for Rekkles, this is not his 88th deathless game.
Oh, what a close game though. An hour and 2 minutes. An hour and 4 minutes, sorry.
Oh man, you gotta, it's rough though.
It's so frustrating.
There's so many great moments. I'm taking a chance to look at the damage chart. 66,763 damage for Caps. Insane. The highest damaging Misfits member is Sencux at 47.
You know, but the thing about Caps is while he did have a great game, he was also a large part of the comebacks that came from Misfits, because we saw twice he tried to make a Shurima Shuffle play, and he actually ended up losing his life as a result. That resulted in 2 Barons going in the favor of Misfits. And gave them the opportunity to stall things out and come back into the game.
Yeah, and it's easy to kind of forget that those mistakes go down because you see those highlight moments where he outplays, where he dashes around, where it looks so good, and then you think about it and you go, okay, this is a great mechanical display, but also, why are you here? Why are you taking this risk? Why are you putting your team's lead in jeopardy?
But it's also one of those things where if the risk pays off, it could be huge for the team. And you have to look at this young player and you think to yourself, the pressure must be on him. The eyes are on him to make the play that can win his team the game and turn this into a victory for the squad. And unfortunately, he just couldn't quite find it. But I love the fact that he was willing to try. And in my eyes, it's one of those things where, yes, you can criticize him, and yes, you can say, maybe you shouldn't have done that. But if he hadn't have taken those kind of plays, would they really have been able to win out on the game? Would they have really changed the outcome of this match? Because we saw when Fnatic were in a position to siege, they just could not break the defense of this Misfits team.
And when you can break 3 inhibitors, but you can't end the game, I can't even imagine the kind of discipline, the shot calling it takes to move through it. But Misfits proved to be the better team in the end. They pick up the win to close out the day. And Maxlore, Alphari, and Hansama are your options for player of the game. You can head over to @LOL Esports on Twitter and vote for your favorite. Be sure to check out the results in the LCS post-game lobby in just a few minutes. But Vedius, I asked you last time.
Yep.
Of those 3 choices, who do you give it to?
Gotta be Hansama for me. I think that he played exceptionally well this game. He had a scoreline of 8, 1, and 9.
But I feel like Gangplank ults were at the center of every fight.
For sure. I mean, you could make arguments for Alphari. Maxwell had a lot of good initiations. His only death was in that fight where he traded his life for Broxah's.
Yep.
Like, you have to imagine that his shot calling in the late game was a big part of the success of the squad, and it's something that we don't necessarily get to visibly see, but largely had a big contribution. But for me, it was just the fact that in that final fight, Hansama positioned so well, 4v5, that's like that big play is what gave it for me.
At the end of the day, a crazy game for sure, and honestly a crazy day. And for a closer look at today, let's head over to Sjokz and the guys for the LCS post-game lobby.
Welcome to the LCS post-game lobby. Thank you very much, Drakos and Vedius, after our opening day here in week 3, where I'm joined by Martin Deficio and Maurice Amazing Stückenschneider. What a marathon of a game, that last one.
It was crazy. We spent the last 5 minutes trying to figure out how to sit in these chairs, and we still don't know. Do you sit like this? Am I more like lean back?
You can also cross your legs, you know, like you guys are always, I don't know, getting commentary on how you're sitting.
It's really tough to sit in these chairs, to be honest.
Right, and it was also really tough to finish that game that we just saw between Misfits and Fnatic. It went on for a really, really long time, and we're just going to dive into the final team fight where we had a teleport from a jungler, finishing everything up. So let's take a look at what exactly happened here, because Fnatic seemed like they had it.
Yeah, they were supposed to have it. They just got a pick, and for them, it was about being patient. And I don't think they really respected the amount of damage that the Kog'maw was able to pull through, and the amount of defense that he had on his side, like in the 3 minutes that were still left. So I just overextended, and to be fair, it got cleaned up.
It's kind of ironic that I feel like the one thing Fnatic did really poorly in almost every team fight was focus Hansama. And of course, the very last team fight of the game, they fail to focus Hansama. He kills them in their own in Misfits base, and they win it. And there were actually a lot of fights where Hylissang engages, forces the flash out of Hansama, and then Caps wants to like swoop in and be the hero.
Because we put a highlight play of him in the other game.
But then he swoops in and he gets like Alphari or something. It's like, no, not Alphari. You need Hansama, or he will kill you.
But it isn't bad to kill Alphari, though. Like, can you really blame him for...
If Hansama's sitting next to you, being like, blah, 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 and then he kills everyone.
All right, fair. Not the best target control. However, you guys said, well, they have a really strong comp, and it's the first Nunu Azir combination we saw. So
Finally.
So what was Misfits doing so well, then, that they fought against this seemingly OP combo from what you guys were saying?
Hansama.
Yeah, I think there's no other point in that comp. Like, Hansama just played exceptionally well. He was always well positioned, and Fnatic's comp just was unable to out-damage whatever that comp was thrown out. So even the plays that Caps was trying to do, I think it was more out of the result that the comp that they played was unable to reach Hansama, to be fair. So in the end, he was lost in a position where Caps had to make plays in order to carry his team to a victory, because they just didn't do enough damage to kill the enemy team.
I always wonder, though, with these games where you have pretty long range on Azir, he has a Nunu buff, you get 3 nips down, was there a time to try and see, like Caps did almost do, just try and ignore the members and see if you can get in and kill like one Nexus turret. And
he did, yeah, he did that exactly.
He did
right?
Towards the end of it, and it's always like when you have these games where inhibs are gone and there's like 20 minutes of sieging in the enemy base. I always wonder if maybe at some point you have to try and just rush the base down, but it's so difficult to do because there are 5 members right around you.
Yeah, so if Rekkles split pushes, you make a 3 replay highlight of him because it isn't good, and now you want Caps to do it?
Difference is
Difference.
well, Caps did die sometimes, but didn't die as much.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Nunu, and amazing you were saying how it's a bit of an ungrateful position for Broxah to be in because he couldn't really do that much because there wasn't any front line except for him. But what did you make of the first Nunu we saw, and how effective was it?
I'm happy with the execution. I think his Drake play was kind of iffy. He didn't really prepare the Drakes with the bottom lane, but I think the way he interacted with the Azir pick, especially in the early to mid game, was exceptional. Like just playing for that mid turret, playing for the mid kills, and just generally forcing the enemy somewhere and play in his space was something he did really, really well.
Did you like his Nunu mechanics? I noticed some quick Ws were hit on Azir.
And the flash ultimates, yeah.
That one too is pretty nice. If you want to play Azir, Nunu at home, you want to max Q first and then max W second.
Not like me.
Not like Amazing who maxes E. Don't do that because you want to make sure with the W that, of course, the greater stats are fantastic and the little cap there is on how much AP you can give to your mid laner. It goes up every time you put another rank into it. So you need to get it max second so your mid laner gets the maximum amount of extra AP from that blood boil. Not
the snowball is not that effective, I figured.
Fantastic breakdown for all of you guys playing that at home. Our player of the game for this match was Hansama with 76% of the votes. We praised him a lot during this game.
I voted as well.
You voted as well. And on top of that, it was in our breakdown before the game, we looked at who are the biggest damage heroes or who's dealing the most damage in that team. And Hansama is one of the big guys. Alphari also not doing too shabby.
Of course.
But the Kog'Maw is, of course, absolutely shreds late
First
game.
of all, respect to Alphari for his build. 400% crit. We like
He's
that.
a man.
Hansama, though, is the best AD carry in Europe.
Oh, you just say that and think we're going to move on, but we're not. So why? Which qualities does he have that make him the best?
I have to support your claim now.
I think with Hansama, we're in a meta right now where it relies a lot on having a strong late game AD carry who is really good at positioning because a lot of people want to try and get to you, and typically you're on a scaling AD carry who people will rely on to win your games. And I think his positioning in teamfights is spot on. And how he's able to use summoners to obviously know what to flash to stay alive during the initial engage is really good. 0 issues in the laning phase. He's actually winning more lanes, even on scaling champions at the moment with Mikyx than we see from most AD carries. So I think he's bringing almost the entire package almost the entire package, which is great.
Yeah.
I was going to say it like that. I was going to say like 4 Misfits, but obviously he's on the team. So I think because Rekkles is not performing at the highest level and doesn't seem to be in sync with his team, and Sven is gone, Hansama's played all the way up to #1.
Well, fantastic. I think this is a good idea. Maybe we can take a closer look at some of his plays and his positioning tomorrow before their game, but we'll put a pin in that because I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to see how the other AD carries evolve and see if anyone can threaten Hansama. We also have mini true packs coming up later and stuff like that, so we'll discuss it then. But first, we're going to talk about G2 because the reigning champions had lost 3 games in a row going into the week, but they managed to fight back and have a win versus Splyce. One of the things we were looking at for G2 was their late game decision making and their late game team fighting. So it definitely looked improved today, Maurice.
Yeah, it definitely did. For me, the biggest issue with G2 so far has been the fact that they weren't quite sure what to do at which time. They still had like some plays that were going on for them, and they still had ideas coming in, but they never found the right timing. I think in this game especially, like with the Drakes and Nashers that they forced, they were always on point with the forces and did it on times when they could actually force and didn't misplay in that manner.
Yeah, it would be easy to say, is G2 back? But for them, it's probably just enough that they got a convincing win and that they worked on some of the issues that were apparent.
Of course, and they were actually against a really hard late game comp, or a strong late game comp from Splyce. So it was good to see that despite some shakiness in the mid game, they actually ended up playing better in these late game team fights, and they used the range really effectively, and it was enough for them to win the game. So overall, it was a rough game for both teams, but I'm happy to see G2 win the late game.
Yeah, very much improvements for them for that. And then the next game we are going to take a look at is, I'm actually not sure if we're ready to move on. So we can have some finishing thoughts about Splice, possibly.
About Splice.
I like them. I thought they looked good in the early game. I thought the play around mid lane where they kind of helped out Niski and put Ornn in a position where he doesn't end early game, honestly, was an improvement to last week's. And I think it's a good sign for things to come, because for me, Splice has been a team that I thought of as a playoff team, like similar to how you think about Schalke as a playoff team, because they have so many great personalities on that team that have had success in the past that I think are going to repeat it if they're being put in the position.
We should make a bet. Which team makes playoffs? Which team doesn't?
I mean, there's six
Splice is
playoff spots.
Schalke and Splice.
I mean,
and Splice.
What's the bet now? Like, I vote for Splice, obviously.
If Splice goes into playoffs and Schalke does not, I will take you out for dinner and pay for everything.
Okay.
Why is that just seems like a nice thing to do. That doesn't seem like
I wouldn't normally just take him out for dinner and pay for everything. But if Schalke makes it in and Splice does not, you take me out for dinner and you pay everything. And we only go to nice places.
Okay, you already.
Well, it can be a place of the choosing of the winner, maybe.
Yeah, should the loser or the winner choose?
I mean, the loser choose the restaurant because I want to eat what I want to eat.
Okay, the loser chooses but has to pay.
Yeah, that works.
Only if Splice makes it and Schalke does not, or the other way around.
All right. Well, moving on, and what actually spawned this bet is we had our match of the week between Vitality facing off against Schalke, and you said before the game that Schalke was going to be a playoff team no matter what, and also that they were going to win this specific game. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, I cut that part.
That wasn't the case. Vitality, day one, and that's how they responded after their first loss last week. They struck back with resilience and force and in a dominating victory. And after that, Medic caught up with Mini Trupax. Here is what he had to say.
We even gave him Kalista, I wanted a challenge, Kalista is permaban. I'm like, give him Kalista, I don't care, they won't let me Kalista. They give him Kalista, like he doesn't do anything, I just out-rotate him, I out-micro him. I actually really laughed a lot when he said that he has an edge over every rookie AD carry, that he has more knowledge, and this guy, I don't know. No, but it was really good. People thought we were underdogs. Once again, we come from challenger cities, smurfing hard, winning every single game, and people are like, this guy's got lucky. They will choke on stage. We go on stage 3-0 war. We go promotion tournament, we win 3-1 against NiP when they were in their best shape. They are like, Schalke will beat them. We beat Schalke and they still dubbed us, but it's fine.
So he was talking about the rivalry, or the matchup versus Upset, obviously, and it really did seem to me that Mini Trupax had so much to say for so long, and he said it all. Yes. And he played well, so it was good to see. It was fun to see. Rumor also has it that he has refollowed one person so far. No, I'm kidding. It was
is it Upset?
No, I'm just kidding. But let's talk a bit more about the game and the game specifics, I would say. I think Vitality showed, and that was a question we asked beforehand, Maurice, can they bounce back from the loss versus Misfits? Can these emotional players show us something else? And they did, and they actually did it in the way they've played before. They action-packed games, action-packed early games, which is something that you like to see.
They didn't slow down at all, and what was more important for me, actually, more so than obviously the last week's loss, is how they handled this hard early game. Because honestly, with their comp, they were supposed to win early to mid game, then Gillis got thrown behind and didn't know quite what to do, and they still found the plays that were necessary in order for them to win teamfights, such as Kabusha jumping onto the Kalista, which was probably the purpose of the Camille pick that I questioned in the beginning. But a lot of things make sense after I've watched them play, and I'm actually impressed by them and by their cohesiveness.
I love the fact that we've now seen 2 games where they do fall behind, and then they find really cool ways to get back in the game. Again, it's not waiting just for a dumb Baron call, it's punishing teams through fighting. And again, they're looking for these fights. Jack Troll started that fight in the mid lane, did not fail his combo. It was baiting. He told me after, he said it was a bait. I wanted them to think I was bad, and then they would re-engage on me. And then 2 members come from the flank and get the kills onto Schalke. And I just love the fact they are forcing plays even when behind to get back in the games. And I love then that Mini Trupax, after the game, gets to unleash because he won, he beat Upset.
What a guy.
And he's been working towards this, ever since he joined the LCS.
And now you said someone else is the best AD carry in the league. So just you said Hansama is the best AD carry in the league. So what would it take for Minitroopax?
I can see where it comes from. I think if you judge AD carries... Oh yeah, true. My bad. But anyway, I think in terms of what the complete package is, I think Hansama presents it more so and like basically is in the footsteps of Sven more so than Minitroopax, because Minitroopax is really similar to Rekkles, I'd say, in the way that he has a really specific playstyle that is basically abusive early and like basically a strong laner and then translated that into team leads. And I think Sven was more like this player that basically allowed everyone on the team to still play the game, didn't need anyone to play towards him, and still had that late game carry potential. I think that's what Hansama is representing a bit more. So I actually agree with him.
Yeah, I don't think specifically it's because Minitroopax is better or worse.
It's different.
Than Hansama. It's just, we've only watched Minitroopax in the LCS for 3 weeks now. We've had a full year of Hansama, we've had Worlds, and now we have had the start of the Spring Split here. So we just have a lot more footage to kind of follow his growth, and therefore it's a little bit easier to kind of call him the best AD carry right now for me. And also I think Misfits rely a lot more on Hansama as the main damage dealer, where on Vitality, we're seeing a lot of different members being able to do Jizuke from the mid lane, Kog'Maw playing carries on top side. So it's less about just Minitroopax shining, which is not the case for Hansama. And therefore, I think it's easier for me to kind of look at Hansama and say, okay, right now he's the best performing player. But I don't think Minitroopax necessarily is a lot worse.
No. It's just a difference in how the team likes to play.
Yeah, and how long we've been watching them as well in the LCS.
Yeah, fair. Before we move on, Schalke, we'll have to talk about them a little bit. Obviously, this is now the second week that they're fully with Upset again. I think this is going to be a crushing loss, and I don't know, you guys both as ex-pro players, will it be hard for someone like...
When was that?
3 years ago.
Technically correct.
You are correct.
For a young player like Upset, obviously, who has had some troubles in the beginning of the split, who everyone was looking at to do well, do you think he will have trouble kind of placing what happened today and placing that interview? And might he struggle with that? And then what are the solutions for that?
I mean, I think he put himself in a position it's hard, like that is hard to recover from. I think he should have never started trash talking to begin with, like before actually qualifying for LCS, before actually getting to a position where you're comfortable, unless you 100% sure that your emotions and your capabilities are there. Because like, for example, when I started my pro career, I was really offensive in solo queue. I was always trash talking everyone. But when it came to the pro level, I was still really humble towards other pros that were better than me and that I like saw with a lot of respect. And I think that didn't come in. And I think now it comes back to haunt him to a certain extent because he's put in the spotlight and he's not responding. So now for him, he actually just has to probably delete his Twitter, delete everything. Basically, but as in like just take a complete step back and just reset and basically we find this humble approach to, hey, I'm actually not that great right now, but that's fine. I can improve, and I want to improve. And I think he put so much pressure on himself that it's almost sad to see from a player perspective.
Well, he can't change the past, obviously. So I think that I agree with you that maybe he just has to try and for all we know, that's the case, right? For all we know, he is being surrounded in that way, and we definitely hope so because it's also a bit vital to that team, you know, to the development of Schalke, all of it. All of these players need to gel well. All of these players are learning how to gel with each other, and it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, it can take time, and your AD carry, of course, is extremely important. It's always been that case in League of Legends, except for like 1 or 2 patches last year when there was a meme about AD carries being useless, but you need a star AD carry if you want to be one of the best teams. Just from my own experience working with like new rookies coming in, they do care more often about the community and about these kind of things than maybe a player who's been there a few years or a player who's a little bit older, because you kind of learn sometimes
Put things in perspective.
Yeah, you put it in perspective and you realize maybe reading Reddit is not that important. If all you're reading is people flaming you, you can kind of step away from that. I want to say with Upset, I don't know him well enough to say he's going to be affected by this. Like he's young. He has a lot of veterans around him. I am 100% sure they're going to help him if he has any issues in regards to how the community is reacting and what's happening now. And then he's just going to learn from it. And in a few weeks' time, he'll start winning games and play well. And then, bam, it's all forgotten.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy discussion to kind of touch on the kind of stress that some of these players are under. And you see some of them like Minitroopax, who's like the other end of the spectrum, who says, you know what, throw it all at me and just...
And he's winning right now, so everything is great. You know,
not everyone has to do that, right? It's all your own style.
I think for Mini2Pucks though, like Gilius took a lot of pressure off him to begin with, because Gilius was the one that basically talked trash, like even in the challenger scene.
24/7.
He kept going, and like basically forced that pressure on him. Everyone in the community focuses so much on him now that even if Mini2Pucks has like a slightly bad game, people would not necessarily notice where it is.
That's his master plan. For years and years, Gilius has trash talked so that the moment came that he can form this team and win, and he'd deflect all of the criticism from his oh my God.
It's a classic coach strategy from sports as well. Mourinho does the same.
Gilius is basically Mourinho.
There you go. Confirmed on the LCS stream.
My mind is blown right now.
One thing to add also with the Mini2Pucks one, like, it's not even necessarily for me as much as trash talk. It's more the fact that the personality you show outside of the game is the personality I'm seeing in the game as well.
Yeah.
It is the confidence. It is, I will win. I will be in your face. I will force stuff. Jizuke is the same deal. And very often with pro players, their out of the game personality is a little bit different from in the game. You can be a big trash talker outside, but then struggle to perform in game when it really matters. And those two things, they don't really add up. And we've seen some players have that issue in the past. Not with the Vitality guys. No. When they say they're going to win and they want to destroy you,
they most likely will.
They will definitely try, and we can see it in game.
Yeah, well, fantastic stuff. Moving on to another match, the Unicorns of Love, they picked up their first win of the split against H2K, and let's hear what their man in the jungle had to say after that final game.
Hey guys, I'm Medic. I'm here with Kold, the jungler from the Unicorns of Love. Still struggle not to call you trashy whenever I see you. Just coming off the back of your first win here in the Spring Split, how does it feel?
Ooh, it feels super relieving. Like, we obviously, when you are a new team and you start off 0-4, it's kind of, everyone is like stressing out a little bit. Like, you really want to like feel how it is winning again. Like, I almost like kind of forgot how it feels like winning, but it's just the best feeling. Like, this is what we work for every day, the feeling of winning. So just very happy and satisfied with how we played today.
Well, in week one of the PGL, you said that you think this is a team that needed a bit of time to develop, a bit of time to grow as a team. Do you think you've hit that point, or is there still some way for you to go?
I mean, obviously, we still in the start, like, it took some time for us to get together. We are obviously also playing with a Korean that had some issues in communication, and that's why I knew that it would take some time for us to be on the same page. But I see every week we're like slowly but surely getting better, and that's the most important thing. Like, we will just keep grinding, and I think today we showed a more controlled and controlled Unicorns of Love, where before in the other games we were playing a little bit more chaotic, and I'm just very satisfied with my teammates. I think they all played super well today.
Excellent. How much of that do you think comes off the back of you being part of the team? Because a lot of people have talked about you being the captain, you being the leader. Do you think that's your role in this team?
Definitely. I'm trying my best every day to kind of calm down some of the younger guys. Like, especially today, I could really feel when we got a lead and everyone just wanted to do everything at once, where you need someone to just calm people down, do the right steps, and then set it up properly. And that's kind of what I do in the game. And today it worked out, so I'm happy about it.
Excellent. It's good to hear that they've got someone to calm them down a little bit. Just final question. I want to talk a little bit about Exile, because the casters brought up that he sometimes has up and down performances. We tend to see it in his gameplay as well. He's had a couple of good performances on Rise in this split. What is it in particular that makes him so up and down as a player?
Obviously, last split wasn't the greatest for him, and I think maybe it hit his confidence a little bit in his own play. Generally, he's probably one of the smartest players I've worked with, but sometimes he just wants to do too much in the game that kind of just screws over his play a little bit, where he, instead of focusing surely on his own, he's like looking at the map all the time, looking for plays, what he can do, instead of maybe focusing a little bit more on himself rather than helping his teammates. So it's something I'm trying to tell him a little bit, where I can help him a little bit with taking over some of the stuff he wants to do. But generally, he just needs some confidence back, and I think winning in LCS is a good start for this.
Definitely is. Congratulations again on the win. We're going to hand it back across towards you. Take it away, Sjokz.
Thank you very much, Medic. Nice to hear from Kold after we caught up with them in week one. Now, after their first win, a couple of things that I want to mention. Controlled is what I heard. Controlled, this was better. He was very happy with that. Not as chaotic of a style. And that definitely seems like the way they should go, right? Because you can't start with a new team and you're trying to figure everything out and you're going full chaotic all the time. Controlled, some comfort picks.
Sure, and we had a conversation week one when the Unicorns played the first time about what kind of identity and what kind of style do they want to play. We were discussing, is it, Sheepy's tell him to play aggressive all the time and fight, or was it the players? In this case here, we're seeing it's the players, right, who gets to decide how to play in-game, and especially Kold, who is a big leader on the team. And we're going to see more games where it's like a little bit more calculated early game from Unicorns of Love, and then if someone like Xayah gets an advantage, you can unleash him in the side lane. But not until he's actually ahead and can do that are you allowed to unleash him.
That was some interesting insight into the psyche of Exile, where he just wants to do too much and maybe do it all alone and then doesn't make the right decision, which is something I can see, and especially when things aren't going well, he feels like he probably wants to go everywhere to fix it, but it's not working for now. However, did work today, good performance by him, and I think for Exile as a person, amazing. If he hasn't had the best games, this will hopefully boost him and make him good for tomorrow and the next couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm really happy about Trashy's wording, like in terms of what he talked about Exile, and I think that alone, like just someone actually publicly standing up for you is really important to your character and like to your psyche too, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, good to see.
I'll stand up for you too, Maurice. You're doing a great job.
You're sitting down right now.
I will stand up for you, Maurice. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
Right. Let's look at the standings now. Vitality, Misfits, and Giants have secured themselves a lead, with Rakan trailing just behind, so they are all three in first place. We didn't touch on Giants and Rakan yet. They played versus each other, but Giants find themselves at the top of the standings, and if we look at those two teams, those were two teams we didn't expect to be at the top of the standings, who started off really well. Rakan, not the best performance today. Giants looking more and more like the realer deal, right? I know everyone keeps having these questions of, oh, if it's best of ones, is it the beginning, is it blah, blah, blah. But they're still there. And if we give the credit to Misfits and Vitality, we should give it to Giants.
100%. I like the late game a lot. Like, they team fight really well, and they draft good team fight comps. We had the Jinx today from Steelback, so if you're a Jinx fan, go back and rewatch the game. It was actually a really fun game as well. And early game, Joko and Ruin together, even when they were not supposed to make a single play, pulled off two really good plays, got ahead in the game. Then
did the Giants thing where you throw a bit?
Joko had his one invade per game that goes wrong.
But Jinx traps.
But then Jinx traps at Baron. I'm actually gonna, the first thing I do when I come home today is I'm gonna rewatch that team fight, and I'm gonna see what happened with those Jinx traps and if Rocket could have done something different. Yeah,
you seem to be of the opinion that they could have done literally anything different, and that
I definitely said Jinx traps like 15 times in the cast after that team fight.
All right, well, we'll take a look, and we'll also be back tomorrow with 5 new games, kicking it off with a fight between the Unicorns of Love and Vitality. So that confidence boost the Unicorns of Love had, it's going to have to be a big one, because Vitality is looking on fire right now. Sjokz has a chance to bounce back. What other matchup are you guys looking forward to? It's right there.
What do you take?
I'm Schalke Giants. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think Splice Misfits, pretty sick late game team fights. Also gonna be interesting. Yeah. What do you got, Maurice?
What do I have? I'm pretty fine with Misfits against Splice. I think it's gonna be a high matchup in terms of like how Splice is gonna recover, because I thought they showed a couple of improvements today, and I wonder how it's gonna translate into tomorrow.
We will see what happens. And across the Atlantic, the LCS Academy is starting right after our show here in Berlin. First up, CLG Academy taking on Echo Fox Academy. If you didn't catch all of the EU LCS games today, remember that you can tune in for our rebroadcast right after the Action North America. So you can watch all of this, watch all of Academy, rewatch all of EU, and come back. And EU will be back, because we will be back tomorrow with another 5 games. There you go. Time for us to log off for the night. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the nice insight in PGL, as always. And we'll see you tomorrow.
It is the very first game of patch 8.2 worldwide here in the European LCS. Sidestep is going to fire down those accelerated push gates, and he's going to be locked into the Oh man, that's a satchel charge. He's being hammered away. That's another for UOL. Exile gets him down. Running down Promise Q and Cagel. The spell flux is bouncing. Another stopwatch goes on. A double for Exile. Night and Exile. They're doing it. Everybody down. And for the 3rd time in a row, H2K are defeated. But it's the first of the split for the Unicorns of Love. Traps are so important! Memento is down! That's the teamfight Giants wanted! Norscarin goes golden with the stopwatch, and Rocket are running for their lives. Norscarin's down. It's a double kill for Betsy, and Steelback is excited. Found out Giants siege. They take down their Nexus turrets, and Giants take first place with 4 wins and 1 loss.
looks like Upset's going to be a little bit more than angry as he's going to get taken down. This could just be the double. Sjokz have no vision, and they are gone. TP is now coming in. Which member is going to be that joins the fray at this stage of the game? Zuke there once again. Drowsy goes on to Vander. Not a lot of hope. Oh, God, that's the bait and switch.
Woo! Holy shit, nice. I'm ending.
We're ending. We're ending. Go in.
Go in. That's fine.
Who's over right there now?
He is not napping. He's focusing, he's meditating.
Disky now moving forward onto Perks, pushes Jankos back. It's one man in the midst of all of G2, but it's just not enough. G2 move in, it's the slow, steady closeout.
I love seeing this from Sencux, throwing out the sleepy trouble bubbles. Able to
engage, gets it onto Braum, but not a whole lot else. Gangplank ulti on the backside could be in trouble. All eyes on Alphari, who just managed to join the fight. Sencux looking for the sleepy trouble bubble. Caps, knocking it back into the middle of everything. Where's the barrel going to be? Bam!
This is it!
Maxlore TP's on the backside. Rekkles running for his life. One man on a mission, but it's not enough. Misfits, hold on. Not a lot left to say. Misfits in a nail biter, in a back and forth, in a brutal onslaught, are able to find the win and take down Fnatic.